Misfit Toys.
Aptitude, expertise, genius, gift.
I'm the fucking talent.
Recording in progress.
It's been a long time because dust has just flown out of my laptop now because I don't know if it's Zoom collects dust or if my laptop collects. I'm not sure. I don't know how it works. All I know is I've got a face full of grit, and nobody likes that. And not the children's newsletter. I wanted to deliver grit as a kid. My goodness.
What?
You don't know this?
What grit is a children's newsletter?
Well, before we get into that, hey, what's happening, Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast? How are you? I forget to do that all the time. It is episode 1 of year 14. What the fuck? That makes zero sense, right? And I will tell you this, it has only taken me 15 and a half years to get through 14 years of a podcast. Look at me stepping up to the plate and taking a lot of breaks for like a fucking idiot. But I'm back. We're here now. We're talking with our great friend. That's our great friend, Lily Von Stupp. Hi, Lily.
Hello.
Lily's not been here for all 14 years. It only seems like it for her. But hi, and I'm glad you're here. But you don't know the Grit, the children's newsletter? You're not aware of this? I'm going to say this. If anybody who's listening now listened to Never Not Funny when I was on there, I think we probably referenced it a million times on there. When I was a kid, you'd get a comic book, right? And you'd read a comic book and look, Spider-Man is tackling the Vulture. And then unfortunately, Spider-Man has a job, which is, when you think about it, honestly, it makes sense. But as a kid in your brain, there's always that little thing that goes, why does fucking Spider-Man have a job? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Spider-Man is Spider-Man. He's flying around. He's doing great things. And now he has to go to the office. What the fuck, man? Why does Spider-Man have to go to the office? Now, I'll tell you what, a great thing about Spider-Man going to the office, not in comic books, but online, is that meme of him sitting at the desk with the picture of himself on the wall. Oh, my Christ, is that my favorite? It is my...
Dude, I know that.
Because there's the pointing one. Everybody loves the pointing one where it's 3 Spider-Men all pointing at one another. But, dude, the Spider-Man meme where Spider-Man is just sitting at a desk and he has a photo of Spider-Man on the wall is it might be... I love the image. I don't know what it's from or what it's for. I could go to knowyourmeme.com and lose myself in a rabbit hole of nonsense, but I refuse to do that. I prefer to put my own meanings. You know what? I project my own meaning onto Spider-Man at a desk with a picture of himself. Has he set up a detective agency? Is that in his house where he likes to play office because he knows he's not a normal guy and he has the powers of an arachnid? I have no idea. If you have the powers of an arachnid, do you want to really stand in line for coffee with your fucking mates and make small talk? What are your... All right, let me ask this. What is Spider-Man's small talk at the office? Someone's like, oh, man, did you get this new health plan? I haven't looked it over. And someone else is like, oh, yeah, hey, we're going to go for drinks probably over to the islands afterwards. Yeah, I like the fries over there. How do you feel, Spider-Man? He's like, oh, I'd love to, but I have to have a fight with the Sinister Six at 8 o'clock. I couldn't possibly attend your fucking coffee clutch, you fucking nobodies. I'm fucking Spider-Man! But instead, Spider-Man's like a mope. He's like, boo-hoo, I'm sad. Fucking, I hate a sad Spider-Man, and I know he's supposed to be sad because that's the deal, right? He's in a comic book. He's sad because with great power comes great responsibility, and I can speak from experience. Nobody wants great responsibility, whether you have power or not. And Spider-Man's saddled with the yoke of expectations because he's fucking Spider-Man. He can't because Spider-Man can't just go out and have a fucking croissant, right? Spider-Man, he shows up to have a croissant, and they'll be like, hey, fuckhead. Did you not see the Vulture? And you're like, hey, man, can a guy have breakfast before he tackles the fucking Vulture? You ever fight the Vulture on an empty stomach? It's not worth it. I like angry. I've created an angry Spider-Man, and I enjoy it.
Oh, fuck.
So I like Spider-Man sitting at the office with the meme, and he's because here's the best part of the whole thing. Spider-Man's in an office sitting at a desk, and there's a picture of Spider-Man on the wall behind him, which is glorious. But Spider-Man is sitting at the desk with his arms at his sides. You can't see them. It's just his head and shoulders at a giant adult desk. It's like there's no there's no pens. Like Spider-Man's not doing any work. And you can say to yourself, well, maybe Spider-Man's done working for the day, or maybe it's Friday. He's just waiting for the clock to run out so he can head out and fight the Trapster. I have no idea. Perhaps he has a meeting with the Hobgoblin at the Statue of Liberty at midnight. I don't know what he's doing. But at the same time, I know what he's not doing, and that's work in the office because his hands are at his sides. And you can't, there's no facial expression, just Spider-Man mask. God, I love it so much. One of my favorite things. And it's a blank canvas, as I think I've just demonstrated. You can go ahead and put whatever you want in there. You can think whatever you want about that picture. It's Spider-Man in his house pretending to play office. It's Spider-Man in an actual office, but it's a detective agency where nobody hires him because they're freaked out that Spider-Man is now fighting for money. Because that's another thing. Spider-Man needs to get fucking paid. All these guys, you know, with all these superheroes and all this bullshit, right? Great power comes great responsibility. You got to get some fucking simoleons for a man, Spider-Man. Spider-Man has just fought off Electro and saved the city once again. He should show up at the mayor's office and go, hey, how about a little something, you know, for the effort? Like Bill Murray in fucking Caddyshack. And the mayor's going to be like, what are you talking about? He's like, I just fucked up Electro again and I saved the power grid again. I can't go back to the office empty-handed. There's nothing on my desk. And we got to start paying this Spider-Man. I got to put him on the corporate payroll, I say. Look, we pay cops how much? How much money do cops make? Fucking give Spider-Man a check. Fucking Spider-Man needs to be paid for his actions. And don't come at me then, well, if we pay Spider-Man, then we got to pay She-Hulk. Fuck all that. She's a lawyer. She can make her own goddamn money.
She does have a job.
Yeah, she does. But Spider-Man has a job too. He's a photographer and all that bullshit. But and he gets the hard to get shot. But that's the thing. He's a photographer, but he gets the hard to get shots of Spider-Man, but they don't know how he gets them. So he should be getting multiple amounts of money. Instead, J. Jonah Jameson is pounding on the desk and yelling in his face with his hot cigar breath. Nobody likes that. Give Spider-Man some cash.
How is he getting pictures of himself unless they're all like selfies of him standing above the villain?
Which is that's not bad. But he would it was
the selfie series.
It was always a plot in the comic book because he would web his camera into the corner of a windowsill or a building, and then the best part is he would engage in a knockdown, drag out brawl with the Green Goblin, and finally send him turntail running with his glider smoke fading in the distance, and then Spider-Man would be like, "Fuck, man, that was a fucking brutal fight." Oh man, I got to go get my camera. It's across town. I totally forgot about it. Because, you know, he never gets the villain to stay in one spot. He can't be like, hey man, can we keep the fight here? Because I'm trying to get some photos for the Daily Bugle. And they'd be like, who are you, Peter Parker? And he'd be like, holy fuck. And he'd immediately run back to the office.
Then he has to develop them too.
Well, he has his own darkroom. Spider-Man has a darkroom.
Oh, of course he does.
That's what I mean. They wrote all of these things that didn't need to be in there. He should just be Spider-Man all the time. Fuck Aunt May and fuck. That's like in the movies now. I love Spider-Man. He is it. He is all. But in the movies, he has friends who help him, and it's like, fuck that, man. Spider-Man doesn't need fat hula hula helping him out. It's fucking a drag. Yeah, all right. I call him Hula Hula because that was from a Plastic Man cartoon, and for some reason, Plastic Man had a sidekick named Hula Hula, who was a fat Hawaiian guy. By the way, Fat Shazam is gay, in case anybody wanted to know
what?
That. Yeah, it's a long story.
It all started with just a simple question of what is grit? And now I know about the sexual proclivities
of Fat Shazam. My God, I found it out. I watched Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Which, and again, so I will tell you, here's all you need to know, okay? Hot Shazam, still hot. Cute Shazam, still cute. Asian Shazam, still kind of on the periphery. Hispanic Shazam, also not given enough attention. Fat Shazam, gay. Regular Shazam, dork. That's it. There you go. I've saw the whole movies. I've cleaned it up for you. But I will tell you this. Everybody ruined it. They were so mad at it. I saw the trailer. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I saw the trailer in theaters. This is months ago. And people would laugh at the trailer because it was just, and not like laugh like, oh, Shazam. Well, what a joy. No, they'd be like, oh, who made this dumb shit again? Which the first Shazam is good to fine. It's fine to good, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And a good villain. Your problem is with the actual Shazam story. Because like, if there's just Shazam, fine. There's one Shazam and he yells it and he's a little kid sometimes and sometimes he's Shazam. You have a question?
No, I'm just confused.
But then later in the movie, Shazam makes a family of Shazams. And you're like, I don't need, because it's long. This is what, and I'm going to go off on a tangent here that people are going to be mad about, and I don't mean to, and I will try to keep it short. It's this thing now where all these people who make hero movies think they have to invent children's superheroes, either to allow the audience of children to go, that's me. I could be the Lotus or whatever the fuck. Or it's a way for them to go, hey, we don't have to pay these really good actors. Let's get all these kids and let people know who they are, and then we'll make a superhero team of these idiots.
Wait, people exploit children?
Come on. I wouldn't call it.
But don't you think that once a child or an alien comes in, it has jumped the shark?
Well, I will say this. First of all, there's levels of exploitation as far as children. One, you get to be a Shazam. Two, you're in a coal mine. So you got to choose your... It all depends on where you grow up.
I just mean exploitation in having to bring a child in the first place. It's not necessary to a storyline a lot of times.
All right, but in the Shazam comic books, they're different. There was I think a Shazam family, but I don't need a Shazam.
A family?
There could be a family. Yeah, it's a family. But like in this new one, in the first Shazam.
Wait, what is the new one even called?
Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Okay.
Yes. Because Shazam has to here you go. Yeah, we did a thing. Me and Max did a thing here called "Who Would Win in a Fight."
Right.
And we had Brock Lesnar against High Tide. Like we had all these dumb fights. Well, let me ask you this. Here's one for you that's legit. Who wins this fight? Shazam or Helen Mirren? Who wins that fight?
Helen Mirren.
Well, sadly, Helen Mirren is one of the Fury of the Gods. She's one of the gods.
Oh no!
It's just it's this thing, and also there's this weird. I will tell you this. I don't. This was completely out of place, and I don't know why it was there. The movie
spoiler.
This is a bit of a spoiler, but it opens the movie and it doesn't have anything to do with the plot. But the beginning of Shazam: Fury of the Gods starts in a museum somewhere, Cairo, perhaps. I don't know. Philadelphia. They don't really tell you. I don't think, or I wasn't paying attention. But it's in a museum and there's all these people. And the funny thing is, you want to see something ridiculous? Oh, watch this opening of Shazam, because it's people in a museum and they're told to act like they're in a museum. So you can see people like going, ooh, like pointing at statues and like looking at one another. It's like so bad. And a guy with a selfie stick in front of like the Michelangelo's David or whatever the fuck. You're like, okay. And so it's just, they filled a room and said, all right, everybody here be a crass tourist. And they were like, yes, we can do that. Because they're extras. They're not that far away from being crass tourists. Because literally, what is an extra but a crass tourist on a movie set? Quite frankly, you don't belong here, the great unwashed. Get the fuck out of here, man. So they got all these people like in the museum acting like museum people. I'm not even joking. And then there's at the center of it, there's a tour guide, and he's showing people this broken staff of power that they found somewhere that they don't even. They're like, yeah, it was found in a dumpster in Philadelphia. We don't know how. It's a replica, whatever the fuck. But here's the thing: the guy playing the tour guide, he is mincing he's like Steven Stucker in Airplane. He's that gay, in my opinion. The vibe he's giving in the thing. Okay, everyone. Okay, and it's a choice. It's clearly a choice.
Yeah.
Either the director wanted it or it was him, because they cast him to do this thing, and he acts like it's weird because he's trying to affect tour guide who condescending. You know what I mean? That feeling. Okay, all right, everybody, hands off the case. Everybody over here. He's trying to do that, but he's also playing into it as if he was speaking to children, not just condescending to adults. But then also there's this whole egg wash of gay all over the whole thing where you're just like, what are you doing, man? And because it takes you out of it. I'm not going to lie. It took me out of it. And in just in a weird way where I was just going, why are you doing this? It reminded me of, and again, I've talked about this millions of times, in the Blues Brothers sequel that they made, which was Blues Brothers 2000. There's this great scene where they go to New Orleans to meet the Queen of Voodoo.
Yes.
Whatever the fuck. Which, just saying it out loud is so stupid. Remember when the Blues Brothers, sans one, but plus another, went to New Orleans to meet the Queen of Voodoo to get him out of a jam? What is this, Scooby-Doo? What the fuck? Were they in a van? What the fuck? All right, so they go to meet the Queen of Voodoo, and they can't just go see the Queen of Voodoo. There's, you got to get through the door, and then there's a fucking handler, whatever the fuck. So it turns out the handler is Paul Schaefer.
Yes.
Paul Schaefer of David Letterman fame, and also Saturday Night Live fame, and fucking Spinal Tap fame, everything. He's a well-known
Gilda
character.
Radner Live.
All of those things.
Oh,
good. And a genius. He's a genius musician, but also he's funny. He's sharp. You know what I mean? He's a perfect foil for a lot of things. So they said, let's take that obsequious foil guy and put a weird mustache on him and have him act fucking bananas weird in front of the Blues Brothers. It's so weird. So he comes in, he's like, he plays a French guy, right? And he brings the Blues Brothers in and he goes, this is true. He goes, the Blues Brothers, like presenting them to the Queen of Voodoo. We're in a full theater. We had to sit separately. So I'm sitting with, I think Pat and Chip and Jimmy are away from me. We're sitting in the theater, and it was completely involuntary. I wasn't trying to be cute, but he comes in and he kind of like wriggles and he goes, "The Blues Brothers," and it's quiet. And I just went, "Oh no!" Like I was involuntary. I didn't mean to do it. It was just a thing where like that thing you do just when you see something completely out of place. And then, like 8 rows behind me, you just hear, ha ha! Fucking Pardo laughs at me saying, "Oh no," in a silent theater. It was so fucking bad. So, but the second you see Paul Schaefer acting like fucking Louis XIV, you're like, well, we're no longer in New Orleans. This is no longer the Queen of Voodoo. Where's craft services, right?
Yes.
So in the Shazam movie, all these people are acting. First of all, they're poorly acting like tourists in a museum. So that kind of is unsettling. And by the way, this is the first 90 seconds of the movie. This isn't even, we're not even fucking 20 minutes into the goddamn
Do you
thing.
think the intent was to purposely make it over the top? Or do you think it was just a lot of really over the top choices?
I honestly, I did think of that because it is a comic book movie. And sometimes they want to be pulp. You know, they want to be something right off the pages. You know what I mean? But, maybe the people acting kind of like, you know what I mean? Like tourists, maybe. But the tour guide, man, it just, like he said, he just had this whole gay sheen all over the whole deal. And that might be me. Everybody's been like, "Oh, look at you, fucking cis het male," whatever the fuck. Fine, maybe. But he came off as just a swish, like totally mincing, like, like kind of giggling and weird.
There are stereotypical behaviors in every sexual spectrum. For lack of a better way of saying it. And I know exactly what you're saying because like I just watched an episode of the one with Jack and
Lost.
No,
Karen
and Jack, and they're in Will and Grace. I just watched an episode of Will and Grace, and I basically just went, "How did this Jack character ever get on television?" So I understand what you're saying, where it's like it's so over the top, it's almost.
But I will tell you that, well, the bonus there is that Jack is extremely fucking hilarious. Like,
absolutely.
Literally everything he says is funny. Like, so that show is a fucking joke machine.
I just look back on it though, and I'm like, the behaviors and the content sometimes was just so much.
Dude, you say that when you look back at stuff. You're like, "Oh, I look back at stuff. I look back." Here's something I learned yesterday. I did not know that this happened. And it's funny if it's one of those things where like if it became, we've talked about how online people cancel people for shit and then they'll also go back 20 years or whatever the fuck. I did not know that in 1977, Elvis Costello and the Attractions got into a bar fight with Stephen Stills and his road crew.
Oh my God.
Because he was drunk and he was obnoxious and he hated America. He was one of those kind of talking a bunch of shit. So he's at a table and there's conflicting stories of what happened. All right. But they basically, Elvis Costello was at a table and he was talking about America and it was blah, blah, blah. And then they were giving him shit. And is it Bonnie Bramlett? Do you know Bonnie? Is it Bonnie Bramlett? Is that her name? She's a musician. And she said to him, he was saying like basically American musicians had no worth or whatever, and he's going off. And they asked him about certain people, and he's like, fuck them, blah blah blah. And then they said Ray Charles, James Brown, like nothing there. And he said,
no.
Oh yeah.
No. Don't say it. Don't. I won't. Say it.
Well, I won't. Say
oh
it,
no, I don't want to know.
Basically, he used the N-word to describe both of them, and with Ray Charles, he said an old blind N-word. And then Becky Bramlett fucking hit him in the face, and then the brawl started in the bar.
Oh, I don't want to know these things. Oh,
but
Elvis
isn't that
Costello.
a crazy thing? All right, so but what you can go online because I learned about it through Vernon Reed is the guitarist for Living Colour, and he was on Twitter and he had a thread about Elvis Costello, and then someone jumped in and they go, "Did you know that he called?" It was David Allen Greer came in and said, "I don't fuck with Elvis Costello because he said that Ray Charles was an old blind blah."
Yeah,
and then someone else jumped in and was like, "Yeah," and then Bonnie Raitt punched him in the face for it. And then Vernon Reed is like, no, it was Bonnie Bramlett, I think is her name. And he put a link to an article. So this is a real thing. So I go to the article, and it's apparently like this happens in the bar, right? And it's 1977. Nobody's there. But then Bonnie Bramlett goes to fucking Rolling Stone, and she's like, yeah, Elvis fucking Costello says this and this, and we had this happen. So they write a story. So then he has to get ahead of it because this is his first tour in America.
Yeah.
So he calls a press conference to explain himself. But he also has no fucking interest in explaining himself. They have a transcript of the press conference. It's a fucking great read because they ask him why he said it. And he's like, well, look, first of all, I don't know if I said it. And they're like, well, all right, but they said you said it.
I don't even know if I said it.
I was so drunk, that kind of thing. And they're like, well,
yeah.
You've called a press conference. So perhaps there's something we should, And in truth, he's like, well, look, man, this is my first tour here, and I don't want rumors to spread and get out of fucking hand. And so then they said, well, what did you say? And he's like, well, look, if I said anything, it was because we were escalating in a fight, and I wanted to say the most offensive fucking thing I could to get away from these people and just get them out away, so they didn't want anything to do with me. And then all of a sudden it turned into a brawl. But then he won't cop to saying it. And the reporters, it's funny because the reporters are super aggressive and even dismissive of him. They're like really, really kind of shitty. And he's shitty right back because that's the whole point. It's 77. He's a punk. Ostensibly, he's a punk. You know what I mean? Although a new wave version of the punks. It was wild to read this confrontational press conference and to read the transcript of it. But at the same time, he then writes I guess he then wrote in his autobiography about the incident. And he still maintains, look, I was so drunk, so I can only go on what I was told from people who were in earshot who heard what they think I said. And he goes, but he also has profusely apologized to the artists, to James Brown, Ray Charles. But he also framed it as in 77 as being like, look, man, I was just trying to say the worst fucking thing I possibly could to get a reaction. And it was like, well, yeah, man, you did.
You got one.
And you did. But when I read that, I laughed because in my brain, I'm thinking, all right, that's 45 years ago. All right. If that happens now, man, holy shit. But I will say this, we'll hear about it for a week and then it'll go away, of course, because nobody ever gets punished for anything. But and not that I'm saying he should be punished, get off my dick, but I'm just saying. My
question is, has he grown? Because there are a lot of people who will go for the most offensive thing that they can possibly say.
Well, he's notoriously acerbic. I think he's completely grown. How could you not mellow?
Well, I think that of most people. It's like, I say it all the time. I'm like, there are people who don't want to forgive me for my past, and that's okay. But they're angry at someone I'm not anymore.
Well, have you seen, all right, let me ask you this. That's an interesting thing to say, and I understand where you're coming from. Have you seen this well, you didn't because you've left Twitter.
Yeah, I've left Twitter.
Okay, on Twitter now there's this fucking, it's so cloyingly bad and fucking nakedly transparent what they're doing. But it'll be like a guy who says, there was a guy who basically said, we have to exterminate trans people, but he said it in different language. We have to exterminate the trans mindset and make sure, all that horseshit. And then people go, you want to exterminate trans people? And he's like, that's not what I said. And they hide behind semantics and bullshit like they always do.
But it is probably what he said.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt what he meant. There's no doubt what he meant. Yeah. But they do that cute thing where they go, oh, you're reading into it. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So now a lot of these villains on Twitter, they're putting out these things and it'll say, when you call me alt-right, this is who you're speaking of. And pictures of themselves as children, like the cutest pictures of them, like eating an ice cream cone or wearing a little suit jacket at communion. And they're like, when you call me a white supremacist, this is who you're addressing. And it's just, it is such a nakedly fucking awful way of going, hey man,
but that's not what I said.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah,
I wasn't equating.
No. So it's like, I get what you're saying. And I think that's terrible. And I think that, again, they would just as soon let that child get shot in a school than care about it anyway.
Yeah. The point I was going to make is that they're trying to, you genuinely mean it. You've grown as a person from who you used to be. They're hiding behind a shield of a child to defend who they are now.
They're always hiding.
Yeah. Like they're
in plain sight. It's awful.
It's a terrible thing, but so anyway, it just reminded me of that because they all now go, oh look, I used to like fucking Trick cereal. Why can't I hate black people? What?
But again, they hated black people as children. You can't see that on the child's face. You can't see that on an adult's face a lot of time.
Look, I don't want to speculate what a 5-year-old thinks. All I know is that the fact that they would use it as some weird shield to hide behind so they can be an awful adult.
But all they do is weird shields. It is astonishing to me.
That's all anybody does. Anybody in the world. Everybody, it's all fake. Everything's wrestling, and it's just nonsense.
And we're all going to die. Hey, thanks for coming to the podcast.
Take care of yourself. You guys can get me at a grave soon.
It's a grave.
I'll be at not a rave.
The former Mike Schmidt.
Oh, the former third baseman as he climbs out of a dirt hole somewhere. Shazam Fury. Look, so here's the bottom line on Shazam Fury of the Gods. I only watched it because I was like, whatever the fuck. I'm trapped in my fucking house, and I was like, all right, why not? It's fine. Because that's another thing. When it came out and it got beat up. Like a lot of people were just like, because I saw the trailer and I fucking thought it was stupid. I was like, oh man, what are you doing? Because here's why. They didn't strike when the iron was hot. Shazam, when it came out, it was a box office hit, but it was like 3 years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago.
A pandemic ago?
Possibly. And so it got in the way of a lot of things that they wanted to do. So, but I thought when I watched the movie, look, here's the really funny thing. The problem with the movie is Shazam, which is, it's a drag because that's in the name. Shazam is supposedly, he's 17.
That is the problem.
He's a 17-year-old boy who says Shazam and then turns into a big buff dude and he can fight people, right? Okay. Well, and so the humor in the first one was he was like 15 or 14. And so it was like, he would say Shazam and they would go, he would buy beer for him and his friend. You know what I mean? It was explode. It was like kind of like big as a superhero. It was amazing. It was a really smart way to do it. Okay. It had a good villain. Shazam entertained me. The first Shazam, I was like, cool. But now this one, he's going to be 18 and that's a plot point because he lives in a foster home and he knows that he has to get out of his foster home and he has abandonment issues and whatever the fuck Shazam does. And by the way, that's what if you thought Spider-Man working in an office was bad, how about Shazam confronting his abandonment issues? How about that? Go punch a cloud, you fucking cape-wearing asshole. Nobody cares that you're sad. Enough with this bullshit where I've got to peel the onion on Shazam. I don't fucking care.
Everybody cares.
No, not about Shazam. He's got a cape. And also, because again, like I just said, if you're Shazam and you're a sad kid, but then you say Shazam and you're a buff dude in a Shazam suit, never say the word again. Be buff Shazam. Why go back to being a fucking kid? Who cares? Leave your kid self behind. Go fuck like 8 chicks and buy beer and be Shazam. Do that. Go fight villains and that's it. But again, the deal is he's still 17 on the inside, so he's got abandonment issues and he's sad about his foster home. Oh man, what the fuck? Be fucking Shazam.
Wow.
I don't want pussy Shazam. Fuck pussy Shazam. I already got fat Shazam, cute Shazam, hot Shazam, Asian Shazam, and fucking Hispanic Shazam.
Makes him a pussy. I think that makes him 17 and unexperienced.
Yes, fine. I don't want to see that on the big fucking screen. Put that in a novella and on the big screen have Shazam do IMAX shit. I don't want to fucking, you know what's not impressive in IMAX? Shazam lying on the couch talking to a doctor. That's not impressive at all. Ooh, this was a waste of IMAX, you fucking idiots.
Have we learned nothing, Michael?
No, not at all. Shazam didn't either, quite frankly. So here's the deal. He's supposed to be 17. He's about to turn 18 and he's filled with angst because of it. But Shazam, Zach Levy, who's the actor who plays Shazam, he plays him like he's 10. Like he's such a naive virgin weirdo where you're like, because in the first movie he was kind of like that and it made sense because he was trying to find his mom and he was in a foster home and he was weird. And then he got the Shazam powers, which is also fucking strange. Now he's fighting villains, but also he's trying to graduate high school. It's all, all that shit was baked in. Okay. But now I'm to assume this is 2-3 years down the line and he's not matured or changed at all in any way. So when he's Shazam, he's dorkier than the Shazam family. And the Shazam family is a pile of dorks. The Shazam, like I said, it's fucking fat Shazam and hot Shazam and cute Shazam. And then Hispanic Shazam and Asian Shazam, and then their 2 parents. And get this, then there's shit that hits the fan, and the Shazam family has to leap into action. And then mom and dad have no powers, but they wind up in the fight. Mom and dad Shazam like take on a Minotaur. What the fuck is this, man? That's Shazam.
Reality, dude. It's reality.
Fucking Minotaur. Minotaur would fuck up mom and dad Shazam. They hit him with their van and they run over a Minotaur. And then it leads to a funny line because the dad turns around and he goes, all right, what's next? Because I think I can only run over one Minotaur in this van. Right? It's because it is funny. Like that's the one. Here's something it really has going for it. It tries for funny. Sometimes it doesn't land because it's over the top silly, but it is funny. The script is funny. It's written well. I know it's over the top silly. Shazam. I know.
There's a Minotaur, and you're like, it's over the top silly.
There's a harpy. There's a harpy. And I will tell you this right now. I don't know if I should spoil this. It has the most. And my mind fails me. Perhaps there's something else you can remind me of later, listeners, or you, Fine Lily. It has the most egregious example of product placement I have ever seen in a film. Even worse than like when Mission Impossible, when the Mercedes or whatever drives right to the camera and the Mercedes symbol is the first thing you see. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's tons of that in a bunch of movies, but this movie not only uses the product multiple times, but then makes it a plot point and uses the product's slogan.
Oh, nice.
Like literally if you were watching and like there was a bunch of Coke stuff all over the place, they kept referencing Coca-Cola. And then at the end, they needed to get like somebody to team up with them. And they said, wait a minute, I've got it. And they popped a Coke and went, have a Coke and a smile. Like it's that egregious. It's that over the top. And you're like,
I think that's funny though.
If it's done in a funny, like you can kind of ironically reference it.
Yeah.
But
Deadpool is good at that.
Well, that's
the ironic Deadpool stuff is spectacular.
I just rewatched Deadpool and Deadpool 2, and they are fucking masterpieces. They are so funny. They are so brilliant. They're so good. And so Shazam tries to hit a balance of being funny, and then also, you know, shockingly adult fights and all this stuff. And Lucy Liu is in it. And there's look, dude,
I've seen her in forever.
There's a goddess, all right? That's the fight. They have to fight the three sisters of the daughters of Atlas, and it's three sisters. It's like fucking Calliope and Hera and someone else, Mrs. Zeus. I don't know. And
Zeus.
But Hera is young, and she goes undercover as a student in Shazam's high school. And then she has to pretend to be in love with Shazam's brother. And he's a crippled dork. Like he's a guy he walks with a crutch and shit. And so doesn't he see right away that this woman I apologize. I know I offended you.
It's ableism. No, the whole thing is written with ableism.
Well, no, that's the
whole point.
But this kid has the walker crutch things, but then he becomes a Shazam, and it leads to, again, his story of how he doesn't like his real body, so he always tries to become this superhero, but then it separates him from the family. And then
I have real issues with the whole thing when they put disabled people that way.
There's lessons to be taught.
Yes.
So anyway, the point is, Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I think it's worth a watch. I will tell you this. I know it sounds ridiculous because it is ridiculous. There's no doubt it's ridiculous. But see if you agree with me that literally the problem is Shazam himself. Like and also
maybe that's the point.
Shazam is he gave them their powers in the first movie. Like he found a staff of whatever the fuck and he gave them their powers, and he's like, I need a Shazam family. This is awesome. Yeah. Well, no, in this one he's trying to be all like rah-rah and be a Shazam team, and they're like, dude, leave us alone, man. We're trying to do like fucking cool stuff. And I'm in my brain, you're like, wait a minute, these guys are rejecting fucking Shazam? This is the foster home crew. He gave them Shazam powers. If I was Shazam, I'd be like, well, you know what? All of you can fuck off and I'll take all your Shazam powers away. That's what I would do if I was fucking Shazam.
But maybe he's coming to terms with the reality that everybody is an individual and we all have our own problems.
That's the fucking stupid lesson they're trying to teach you. But instead, I would much rather see Shazam punch a dragon in the face. Let Shazam punch a dragon in the face.
So the reality is you don't want reality in your fantasy. Wait, I lost your voice. I can't hear you. Go out and come back in.
Hello.
And you're back. What happened? Ooh, that was weird.
You know what I enjoy when you ask me what happened? I don't know a fucking thing.
Do you know what I think happened?
Huh?
Shazam.
You know what I believe it was? The fury of the gods. Clearly, the fury of the gods stepped up and did something to our microphone.
It was the fury of the gods because all I wanted to know was what that grit was.
Oh.
And then And then I know everything.
See, I thought you were looking for a riff, and that's what we did. We talked about Shazam for a while. Went ahead and delved into Shazam's history. I don't know what you lost or what you couldn't hear.
Well, we were talking about reality and fantasy when it all went away, and I think the reality is you want fantasy.
Well, Shazam is it's made for kids. And again, I'm old, man. Please know that I recognize that I'm an old person. So when I see, this is supposed to be some, a lot of gum chewing idiots are supposed to like this movie, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I'm an old grandpa. They didn't make this for an old grandpa. There's only one old grandpa in the movie. And for some reason, it's all right. Just like with Black Adam, which I may have referenced Black Adam on here. By the way, Black Adam is Shazam's villain. Shazam's arch enemy, quote unquote, in the comic books.
That's the Rock.
Yes.
But I fell asleep during that.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Because again, as I've mentioned, here's all you need to know about Black Adam. Black Adam is unearthed from his ethereal prison of 3,000 years. He kills a bunch of dudes, and then he winds up at the house of the people who unearthed him. And then her teenage boy is like, "Whoa, cool! Look at this guy with a cape." And then The Rock understands sarcasm, like Black Adam, who has been in a tomb for 3,000 years, understands sarcasm. And that's it. I was like, forget it. I got no interest in any of this.
I think that just proves that sarcasm is been around forever.
Look, if your driver's
they probably
license,
locked him in for sarcasm.
Good, maybe. If your driver's license is made of papyrus, you don't know what sarcasm is. You have no idea. It's like the first paper ever made. What are those?
Oh,
things?
Is it really?
Yeah. That's what the fucking the Cleopatra Times was printed on back then. Stupid. Yeah. So
I meant to the Cleopatra Times.
Well, you know why?
Because
Moses had the tablets, and everybody's like, "That's fucking awesome. We can write on the tablets." But then paper boys were dying by the dozens. Because you try throwing a 45-pound tablet up on a porch.
That's so stupid.
Yeah. And then fucking Osiris Paper Jones came along and he invented papyrus, and there you go. There you have it. Now you got a newsletter you can be proud of. And with much less death amongst the rabble. No one wants death among the rabble, clearly. Well, the hoi polloi. Is the hoi polloi the people? The bourgeoisie they're the rich people. I think the hoi polloi is just us.
I don't know. Who's the hoity-toity then?
Not sure. Who's hotsy-totsy?
I know that I am the flim and the flam.
Of course you are, no doubt. So Shazam, it's I say watch it. No, I say watch it. I say because here's the thing. Here's what it could have been. Here's why I'm
I don't
angry.
want to watch it if it could have been something.
No. I'm talking about the franchise.
Oh, okay.
Right? So the movies, it's a fun cape-filled romp. All right, it's silly and dumb. There's a lot of dumb shit that happens, but there is redeeming, funny stuff. But also, I can watch any movie now and go, that wouldn't happen, because I'm a sourpuss, and it's stupid. Because if you're watching a movie that has a family of Shazams, of course this shit couldn't happen. You've got to suspend all your disbelief. You can't believe in a family of capes and then go, there's no way that a fucking a liger would be leaping from a roof onto somebody. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that dragon would fit through that cave. You know, you can't do that shit. You have to completely disenfranchise yourself from reality to watch these movies and accept them on that level. And so I recognize that. It doesn't stop me from still seeing them and going, you know what? But here's the deal. So Black Adam is Shazam's enemy. Right. And that's in the comic books. They're tied together because, Black Adam has to say Shazam to be Black Adam and stuff, because they were both chosen. But Black Adam is, he spun off the fucking reservation, whatever the fuck. And then Shazam is just like, and in the comic books, again, I never read one fucking letter of a Shazam comic book. I didn't see it. I didn't buy it. I never thought about it. My touchstone with Shazam was a Saturday morning cartoon. There was a Saturday morning cartoon where a kid, and it was again, these plots always crack me up. Billy Batson traveled the United States with his mentor in an RV, solving crimes and shit.
Wait, and mentor or mentor?
Mentor.
Okay.
Yeah. He had a grandpa. He had an old man who that was fucking him, when they're not solving crimes and shit. So why do they always have to do that? They pair it's like with Batman and Robin. They're like, hey, what if these weird pedophiles dressed in totally short shorts these briefs, and then they went and solved crimes and lived together. You know what I mean? It's that's why they made the ambiguously gay duo, because that's what it was from, essentially. All these heroes have like an older dude and a young dude. But the mentor is super old. He's got like gray hair and a mustache. He looks like Larry Tate from Bewitched, which is, by the way, Larry Tate from Bewitched went from the head of accounting on Bewitched, and then all of a sudden he's traveling the world in an RV. What crime was he convicted of? It's not the same actor. Don't fucking yell at me. I know it's not the same actor. But this kid is Billy Batson. And by the way, the guy who plays Billy Batson in Shazam, the Saturday morning cartoon that I grew up with, was also in a famous episode of The Brady Bunch. In that he becomes, I think he's Marsha's new boyfriend.
George Glass?
No, it's Marsha's dating somebody, and then she gets a job at an ice cream shop. And then this dude doesn't want her to have a job. He's like, hey man, you're fucking neglecting me. And she's like, well, I got to work a job. So then this soon to be Shazam comes to the ice cream shop with a new girl.
Ooh.
And Marsha's like furious. And she comes over. She's like, what do you want? And he goes, we'll have 2 lovers' delights. And she's like, oh, okay. And she comes back, and then she fucking unloads 2 cans of whipped cream all on both of them. Just fucking sprays the shit out of them. And he's like, what are you doing? And they run away. So I recognize him, but then all of a sudden he's Shazam later. And I'm just like, well, he that's why he's traveling the earth in a fucking RV. He got embarrassed by his girlfriend. So he was Shazam, and then he would get out and he'd say Shazam. And again, in the comic books, Shazam can fight like monsters and shit, but on Saturday morning, he's fighting cattle rustlers. It's just so stupid because there's no budget. So that's my touchstone with Shazam. All right. That's what I mean. It would be it was like Shazam was like Kung Fu with a cape and a car. Kung Fu with a cape and a car. That was Shazam, because he would show up in town and they'd be like, oh, you don't know what's going on. These guys are trying to steal the mayoral election. Shazam! And he'd solve the crime or whatever. That's some dumb shit. Because they could never, he couldn't fight real monsters because it was a Saturday morning cartoon. They had no fucking budget.
Real monster, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this Shazam fights a dragon. Dragons are real monsters. So my point is, that's my touchstone with Shazam. So the franchise it's nothing I hold near and dear to my heart. But, they're putting out capes. I'm going to go watch them because I'm weird. And so the first Shazam I watched at my buddy Dennis's house, and we were like, that was pretty good. Like, I have to admit that they did a nice job with what they wanted to do, because they wanted to have a light-hearted superhero movie, which you don't get enough of, right?
Yeah.
So then they had visions of Black Adam then crossing over into Shazam's world and them having a Shazam fight at some point, and building out a Shazam universe. Okay. Yeah. But then The Rock, this is a lot of inside baseball that nobody cares about. Welcome to the podcast. welcome to year 14 of this fucking weird exercise. The Rock gets a hold of the Black Adam property. Okay. And he gets cast as Black Adam. And because he's The Rock, he can kind of do whatever he wants. So he starts playing the guys who run DC for Warner Brothers. He starts playing them and angling for Black Adam to not be part of the Shazam universe, but to be in a fight with Superman and to be against the Justice League, which is a much larger project, much more well-known heroes.
Yeah.
And would put The Rock firmly in the DC universe. And also, but that's another thing. Like I said, The Rock is Black Adam, and he kept pitching the character as it's a super dark character. He kills people. He's not some fucking jokester or whatever the fuck. And then you watch the show and you're like, no, he's a jokester. Like he does, he mugs, he makes silly faces and he listens to a teenager who tells him what to do. He does all the same shit. Whatever you said was a lie. But that's fine, because that's what The Rock does. He comes from pro wrestling. He's a carny. He's going to trick you into doing whatever. But he was fighting so hard behind the scenes to try to get, The Rock and Black Adam to be part of this against Superman, because that's their dream. Because Superman is the gold standard of DC heroes, Superman and Batman, no matter what you think. They can't get him right on film yet. They're still trying, but whatever. So he then convinces those guys to put Superman in the Black Adam movie. Spoiler alert. It's only for a minute, but he's there. And I will tell you this, it's the best part of the Black Adam movie, because I'm not a Superman guy. You know what I mean? I don't, he's fine. It wasn't anybody I really went for, but when he shows up in Black Adam in the fucking blue and the red, and the costume is so bright, you're just like, oh my God, I got goosebumps in the theater. I was like, yes, because you want to see them succeed with that character. You want to see them do good things with Superman. He's Mickey Mouse. He's one of the top fucking properties in the world, intellectual properties that you could possibly use or whatever, exploit, however you want to describe it. But the problem is they keep going, let's make Crypto the Superdog cartoon. Well, fuck you, man. Make a good Superman movie. What if instead we had a Supergirl? Shut the fuck up and make a Superman movie. You know, Superboy is intriguing. Fuck Superboy. Get Superman right and then branch out into this world of super squids and super sagebrush and whatever the fuck else you want to make. I don't know. So Black Adam convinces them to have Superman, and the guys who were running DC for Warner Brothers like, yes, Rock, of course, Rock, certainly Rock. Yes, Dwayne, of course, Rock, certainly Dwayne. And he then maneuvers it, and then it dies at the box office, and then he fucking pivots the Rock. He pins it on the Warner Brothers guys because he wanted to do he's like, I want to do this. And then, but before that, he starts lying about it. It's the biggest hit. It's the greatest thing. He trumps it. He's like, it's fucking gigantic in China or whatever the fuck. And then the real numbers come back and it's like, not really, buddy. I mean, it wasn't really a huge hit. You didn't have, his ego wouldn't let him say, you know what? It's a good fledgling effort to get Shazam, Black Adam into the DC universe. Yeah. It had to be the biggest thing in the world so he could pivot it to Superman. Yeah. And by the way, the Shazam people were fucking furious. They were like, Black Adam is ours. He's our guy. That's the whole thing. And can you imagine what a boost our franchise would have if in the third movie we could put Black Adam against fucking Shazam and have him as a bumper at the bottom of the credits of the second one? It was like Rock he refused to participate in any of the Shazam stuff, even though canonically fucking Shazam and Black Adam are fighting guys. Quit laughing at me. Your microphone's not on, but I can see you laughing.
Rock refused to deal with any of the Shazam again.
It's true. You can Google it yourself. I'm
laughing hysterically at the fact that grown men are arguing over cartoons like this.
But you know that that's where the money is. That's why. It's because there's all this fucking cash.
But I look at it again. I have become anti-capitalist completely, which is ironic because I run a store. But the reality is, I look at all of it and I laugh, and I just laugh. It just makes me laugh hysterically.
Yes, it's silly that grown men are fighting over lightning bolts and capes. I understand that. They're literally fighting over lightning bolts and dollar signs, 2 emojis. They're fighting over those right there. There's no doubt. It's silly. It is silly, but it is large capitalistic business. It's gigantic.
It is.
And so the Shazam people got burned. Because Black Adam then comes out and they don't mention Shazam at all. He doesn't include Shazam. The only way you see Shazam in Black Adam is when he has to say Shazam to become fucking Black Adam. Nobody goes, wait a minute, Shazam, isn't that other guy? You know what I mean? Like there's no connection.
No, because half the
Shazam
people that went to see that only went to see The Rock.
There's no doubt. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. That's a problem because he made himself bigger than the DC universe and the franchise. So then he refuses to participate in the Shazam thing. And then Shazam, they put their movie out and then they pull on an assault on The Rock where because James Gunn then takes over DC. Jesus Christ, I know too much about this. You know what I recommend? Total your car. So you have nothing to do but read about this.
Did you know that both of the Justins got back into the house? Never mind.
I don't know what happened there.
The 2 guys from Tennessee that were expelled, they're both back in now. So spoiler alerts.
Yeah,
things that matter.
Does that matter? Really?
It does. Yeah.
No, because now they're in a super minority and everybody's just going to, all right, we'll talk about it because I was going to talk about it anyway.
Talk about evil empires right now. Evil empires.
Because it's boring. Nobody gives a fuck about the evil empire. Nobody wants to hear about that shit. I know.
You do because you're very upset about dollar signs and lightning bolts.
That's Shazam. He's different.
Maybe this is Black Shazams.
Well, if these two dudes from Tennessee want to fight a fucking dragon, I'll pay attention. That'll be fine.
I think they are.
Oh, and fucking metaphorical dragon. Good Lord. Nonsense.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think they're both impressive dudes. I'm all for them.
Yeah.
But what I can only hope is that they are clean as a fucking whistle. Because they are now going to get a micro fucking like a magnifying
I don't care
glass.
If they aren't, because I'm tired of the double standard that
but it doesn't
apply.
matter.
I don't care anymore.
But my point is, that's what they will do. You don't care, fine. I don't care either.
Yeah.
But there's enough stupid fucking people in the world where they go, oh, did you see this guy didn't pay any of his traffic tickets? Oh my God, he said the F word. You know what I mean? It's like, That's what I mean. They all clutch their pearls over bullshit. It's like, that's the problem is they're going to have to be so fucking spotless now because otherwise we're going to have to hear, like already they tried to do it. You saw the video from 2016, right?
No.
Okay. When he first came into the public eye or whatever the fuck in 2016, he wore a suit and he had a close crop. His hair was down almost to his scalp. He didn't have an afro. So people are putting up the clip from 2016 next to him now with his fist in the air in the afro and going, it's all a joke. It's all a fucking performance. It's
I don't care. I don't care about any of that. I refuse to even engage in that nonsense anymore.
Which is good. I feel the same way, except then when I see it and I get enraged by it for fucking 90 seconds because I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, could they just leave people alone? Could you just let people try to govern or do what the fuck they do instead of chasing them with things from 5 years ago or 8 years ago or 15?
But it's not about 5 years or 8 years ago. And again, I'll keep this in the reality of the Shazam world. People are allowed to make mistakes and move on. But these aren't mistakes. These are manufactured drama by people who are actually villains.
Yes,
and I'm like,
I'm tired
but
of
again,
it.
Superman is going to win out over the Joker. Well, actually, Batman is going to win out over the Joker. Because even though Batman is a capitalist pig, man,
oh man,
he still
enough. Because I watch the movies through that prism sometimes. I do. I watched Dark Knight again about a week ago. It's perfect, by the way. If you have not seen Dark Knight in a while, you got to watch it because there are.
Who is in that one?
Are you kidding?
I can't remember the names of the movies.
Heath Ledger.
Okay, that's the Heath Ledger one. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
When I say it's perfect, because Batman Begins is really great.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises is hit or miss, but Dark Knight is a perfect movie. It's again, like I said, it's like the Departed, except Batman and the Joker show up. It's fucking.
But the point I'm making is there are. And not like to downplay this. I think it's great to have things that you care about. I think it's important to have things that are the fantasy away from reality because reality is so tough. But in the reality of all of it, Shazam. Shazam.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm talking about right now. I'm sorry I'm not getting the minutia of the Magna Carta out there for everybody to fucking go through. We could.
But I think what's happening in these movies is that reality is coming into them because we're talking about, honestly, childhood trauma that Shazam has.
Reality has been in them for quite a while. The X-Men tried to bring it where it was like mutants were on trial for being different. And that was a metaphor, essentially, just like the Matrix is a metaphor for trans people. I understand what they're doing. I know that reality is in it. What I'm talking about, though, is, you try to bake in this reality in a cape movie. And I don't care about it. I don't give a fuck about Shazam's
because that's
problems.
not why you're watching a cape movie.
No.
I get it.
But so then The Rock, like I said, he refuses to have anything to do with Shazam. But then Shazam comes out and kind of bombs like at the box office. And they knew it was gonna because the week before it came to the theater, they had a big twist in it. There was like a cameo that and they put it in the fucking commercials. Instead of saving it for the theater where everybody be like, yeah, wow, that's crazy. Literally, this cameo was in the commercials as a way to get people to the theater. And it was just ridiculous. But then afterwards, Zachary Levi, who also has spun off the planet, he's another fucking banana head. I found out, I didn't know. Again, it was one of those things where like, I don't need to know that Shazam is anti-vax. I just fucking don't. It doesn't mean anything to me or the world. Why
it means a lot to me.
Fine. You're never going to be in a room with Shazam, but if you are, please know that he doesn't wear a mask and he's anti-vax. So there you go. So just be briefed on that.
My whole life is based around that.
Well, not around Shazam. That's like.
But see, I do need to know those people are anti-vax, so I don't end up in a room with them.
All right.
I ask for the vaccination status of everybody that I'm going to be in a room with.
Well,
I'm not even kidding.
Well, I've now updated you on Shazam.
Yeah. Thank you. I now know to avoid him like the plague.
Well, but that's what I mean.
We're not very good at that, by the way, now.
What, saying plague or
avoiding
laughing?
the plague?
It's
We're running headfirst into it every opportunity we can.
Yeah. It's everybody gets a full needle filled with fuck that.
My friend just put a post up and he's like, so it's been 5 days since I tested positive. I can go out now, right? And I'm like, yes, ask the internet on whether or not it's okay for you to spread the plague. That seems like the right place to go.
But everybody does that because they just want permission to do what the fuck they're going to do anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's
absolutely.
Because they can say, oh, didn't you know that Bobo 11 said it was okay for me to go out? Who the fuck is Bobo 11? I don't know, but he said I was fine.
I only get my news from Dick Cheese.
Bobo 11's brother's sisters saw Ferris last night and said that he had a cough and he was possibly near death. Fuck off.
Save Ferris.
People are full of fucking shit. It's so stupid. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Yeah. So
I derailed your Shazam
It's fine.
reality.
Well,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. The
Aren't
point
you glad
is,
I'm back?
I don't. Reality means nothing anymore. I don't know what's the point. Like I said, we can talk about Tennessee. It's I thought that would be a turning point. Like in my brain, I'm like, this is the turning point. This is where people realize these guys are motherfuckers and something needs to be done. And I don't know. Instead, those guys became memes and everybody's like, yeah, and a girl boss. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't know. Good, I suppose. And again, they're back in.
Yes.
But literally, like I saw that.
You dropped again. This is so weird.
Yeah, this is.
Okay, you're there. Okay, so you were saying that they're in, and you thought that would be a turning point.
Before we talk, I apologize to the listeners.
For what?
Because it's amateur night to fucking constantly have my microphone drop out and have fucking shit change. It's I'm especially when I'm in the middle of people are being very kind to me and funding a GoFundMe, and then I come forward here to do a fucking show and it's falling apart, and I feel like a fucking idiot. Like,
do you think no one has technical difficulties ever? Do you know that most shows don't even go straight through the way you do? They edit and they stop and they drop and they come back, and they're even last night on Colbert, they were doing the thing with the dogs, and all of a sudden I'm like, there's 2 extra dogs. They cut 2 of the dogs out. Nobody knows what goes on behind the scenes unless you tell them. Nobody cares. Deliver a show.
Yeah, I'm delivering a show, but at the same time, in the middle of it, it's a lot of, hey, what are you saying? Hold on, I can't hear you. What's going on?
We had a technical that's going to be edited out that nobody even knows about unless you want to tell them there was a problem.
Well, you just said I dropped out. I can't fucking edit.
But you're back. It doesn't matter. It was 2 seconds.
Pointless. Because you know why? Because people listen to other shows that are great and they go completely through.
Other shows edit everything out. I can edit everything out before I send it to you if you want me to.
Hargle blarg.
It's extra work. I'll do it. Honestly, it was 1 second.
I can do it too.
But it was 1 second of me not hearing you, and nobody's going to go, oh my God, they're going to go, oh, the mic dropped. It's back.
Yes, but in 14 years, wouldn't this shit be solved? In 14 years?
No, because in 14 years, most people just edit it all out.
What are you mad at me for? What the fuck? I'm sorry. I'm upset about this, but I mean,
because we were having a great conversation.
Yeah, and
the
I'm
problem was
frustrated
fixed
too.
in 2 seconds, and you want to talk about the problem.
Because the problem sucks. I don't like it. I want to make sure that people understand it was out of my control. It was something I could do. I apologize they were subjected to it.
Do you think that your listeners are like, oh, great, Mike's fucking up the microphone to make this be bad? No one thinks those things.
You never know. Well, even if one new person popped in and heard that, which, by the way, no new people are here, but if one new person popped in and heard that and they went, oh, this is just fucking amateur garbage. This dude's at a fucking desk in his house. It's like,
everybody's at a desk in their house.
Not really. People are in studios and they have fucking producers and they have all sorts of shit like that. And that's great. So, whatever, fuck. If you've been here, you know that this is me and I'm a fucking idiot. And if you're new, guess what? Introduce yourself to the fucking idiot. Look, this is important shit. I'm talking about Shazam. Is there a chance? Let me ask you this, because Shazam is powered via lightning and electricity. Is there a chance electricity itself rebelled against me and dropped my microphone?
I think that's exactly what happened.
Because of my harsh criticism of Shazam and Black
you also
Adam?
brought up the Matrix. You could have pissed somebody off in there.
Oh Jesus! Well, you know what? I'll bring up Shocker too. Why not? That's guy, fucking old Wes Craven action.
Don't bring up Tremors.
You know, I've never seen it.
Oh, what?
I've heard everybody's like, it's so great, but the zeitgeist.
We're pausing. Go watch it right now. And we'll come back and talk about it.
It passed me by, man. Like, it's one of those things where, like,
it didn't pass you by. It's worth watching.
Someday.
That is your homework for next week.
There's so many other great things that I have to watch. I should be watching so many things I've missed or whatever the fuck. And also, guess what? There's a world outside that I should be going and fucking walking around in and exploring. Which is, I don't know if it's worth it, but it's out there. Certainly. Go ahead and do it. All right. Did we finish the Shazam bullshit?
Yes,
Mike dropped,
but I still don't know what grit is because you still haven't told me that.
Grit. When I was a
I think
child,
we've been talking for 2 hours, by the way.
No, but the microphone's been out for 2 hours, I'm sure. None of it recorded. None of it stuck.
We paused for a minute.
Grit. When you were a child, you would get comic books, right?
Yes.
And in the comic book, there would be, the ads for sea monkeys and shit like that, or X-ray specs. There would always be those things you could send away for, correct? Well, there was also a way for kids to make money. It was Deliver Grit. and it was like a children's, like I don't even know if it was a children. It might have been a newspaper. It could have been communist propaganda. I don't know if anybody ever did it, but you would get like the picture. No, believe me, I wanted to, but then if I would have done it, then Lenny would have stolen it. And also we had no dad, so I couldn't do grit because that was even sadder. Then I'm even more of an urchin. I can't be that much of an urchin. It's bad enough I get no dad and no mom going to PTA meetings. So then it's like, then I'm a child labor kid out there delivering grit, which nobody wants, which, you know, it's a newsletter. And like I said, I don't even know what it reported. It could have been like those handbills for strip clubs in Vegas. All right. I have no idea. But the picture was like a little kid dressed like a little newsie with his little cap on or whatever. And he had a bag, you know, over his shoulder filled with editions of grit. And I never knew the hustle. Okay. I don't know if you were supposed to get your neighbors to subscribe to grit and then you were going to go ahead and deliver grit. I didn't know if you had to pay for 1,000 issues of grit and then sell them to try to get your money back from your neighbors. I'm sure it had to be those. Now, when I was a kid, by the way, I didn't know any of those schemes existed. When I was a kid, it was just like, oh, cool, I can make money with grit. But now that I get older, I realize there had to be some sort of double secret probation bullshit where they go ahead and they take money from you in order to give you the grit, and then you have to sell it to your neighbors. That's what I assume. I see you Googling. Are you Googling?
I am Googling the comic thing that says you've got to have grit. And it's America's greatest family newspaper.
See? So I wondered if it was like a Reader's Digest kind of publication where it just had, you know, pictures of puppies and stories of successful families. I don't fucking know, but I never delved deeply enough into it to where I was going to go ahead and sell it to anybody. All right, you pulled it up?
Grit is a magazine, formerly a weekly newspaper, popular in rural U.S. during much of the 20th century. It carried the subtitle America's Greatest Family Newspaper. In the early 1930s, it targeted small towns and rural families with 14 pages plus a fiction supplement. By 1932, it had a circulation of 425,000 in 48 states, and 83% of its circulation was in towns with fewer than 10,000.
See?
In October of 1984, two conservative Ogden newspapers, the Intelligencer and the Evening Journal, dropped the Doonesbury comic strip. It emerged. This is just weird.
Yeah, because now, like I said, you're delving into conservative bullshit and whatever.
And it's now the Ogden Newspaper Inc. is the parent company, I guess.
Oh, is that the new name? Because I was saying that doesn't have the same ring to it. Hey guys, you want to deliver the Ogden Newspaper Inc.?
Yeah, it's now. I don't know.
The first thing you read was Grit is, and I was like, that can't be right because there's no way Grit still exists.
Well, it's a magazine, formerly a weekly newspaper,
but it's still there's no way. I mean, again, with the internet,
it says it's still there.
Well, I will tell you this because we presume that everybody has access to all the technology and stuff. There were. I don't know if this is true now, but as recently as like 10 years ago, there were spots in America that didn't have cable TV.
Yeah.
And I mean, that might still be the case now, but you just presume that everybody has access to everything, internet and whatever the fuck. And I don't know, maybe, but but the fact that these people, maybe they're using grit to get their news, which is even more terrifying because I can't even, you know what? Actually, if a lot of people are using grit to get their news, that explains quite a bit about what's going on in this nation. I'm not going to lie to you. Well, according to Grit, excuse me.
They're very popular in Tennessee.
Oh, Jesus. Pig talks. What? I saw it in Grit. That's some pig. All right.
Oh, man. So you wanted to be a newsie? Is that what it all comes down to? Is you really wanted to be a newsie?
I wanted money. I just wanted, as a kid, I just wanted cash. What the fuck? You know, and look,
pig.
But if you could give me short pants and a little fucking taxi cab hat, I would have worn it. I would have looked cute as hell, probably. Little fat chubby guy selling the Daily Grit. Oh, that's what you want to do. You know what? It could have changed the trajectory of my life. That could have put me on a primrose path to success. Instead, I lived in a divorce house. I couldn't sell any fucking newsletters to anybody. Terrible. And look what happened now. I got a microphone that doesn't work. That's what happens. See, if you grow up living the life that I lived, eventually it's going to come back at you with faulty technology and equipment that doesn't work. You paint yourself into this corner yourself.
You're hilarious.
Stay in school, kids. Stay in school. If only for the future success of all of the implements that you would use in whatever career you decide to choose. All right. So,
That's the grit motto. Stay in
might,
school.
it might be. No, it's for rural America. It is absolutely not. Stay in school. The fact that they're now introducing bills to put kids to work makes me laugh my ass off. I'm just like, oh, okay, great. We're lowering the age of fucking employment, or I don't even know. And then I don't know how, seriously, they're changing child labor laws. I don't know how you take time away from twirling your mustache and tying the local virgin to the railroad tracks to find time to make that bill exist. How do you think about lowering child? Let's take away child. What is going on? Hey man, let's put because again, and then all these people bitch that they go into a fucking Starbucks and they can't get good service. How do you think it's going to feel when an 8-year-old has to pour your macchiato? How the fuck's that going to go?
I don't know. I could make a great pina colada by the time I was 10 because my parents were awesome.
Well, you were very advanced. You're a very advanced lady. Some poor little kid going, "Ooh, mommy, hot. Ooh, mommy, hot." It's all right. It's a macchiato. It's supposed to be hot. Is it? I don't know. I don't know anything about coffees. I have no idea.
I thought that was a car.
Look, if your barista can hop into your venti cup like it's a little hot tub, this kid's too young. This kid is far too young to be bringing you some fucking bitter bean liquid. Nobody likes it. Fucking putting kids to work. And then also, here's my favorite part too. They're never like, let's give these kids, because no kid gets an office job. You know what I mean? They're not like, hey man, we should change child labor laws and make these children accountants. You know what I mean? Where they're safe and it's always like, hey, the slaughterhouse needs people. What the fuck, man? First of all, why do you still call it the slaughterhouse? Why wouldn't you just call it like, you know what? It's the cow hotel. Why wouldn't you say that? It's the Hotel California for cows. They can check out anytime what they like. They can never fucking leave unless they're in fucking styrofoam packs. But that's what I mean is no kid gets a good job. We're going to take away the labor laws. And then I saw some TikTok the other day where like a kid was working at a Chick-fil-A. He was 13. And a guy was filming him and said, "Wait a minute, will you work here?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "How old are you?" And he goes, 13. And he's like, you can't do that." And the kid's like, "Well, my dad owns it." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And it made me think of Max, because Max had to work in his parents' taco restaurant when he was fucking 9. You know what I mean? It's just
you can exploit your children.
It's what you do. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not going to
business, family wealth.
I'm not going to speak for Max and exploitation of whatever he feels, but I'm just saying that's what he did. He wound up working.
I'm not speaking for him either, but that's what family did. Family, you could bring your kids in and you could pay them and you could keep generational wealth that way.
Wow.
That was why the laws were set up, that kids could work for their parents so that they had income coming in and they could keep that in even if they're not working. It's terrible.
Poor Benjamin, elbow deep in fry grease, keeping generational wealth in his family.
That's nothing. His sister at 12 is allowed to get married in some states, but can't decide whether or not she should have a baby if she gets pregnant.
Well, I got to tell you, there's good and bad about that.
There is no good about marrying off.
Hold on, there's good and bad about marrying a 12-year-old.
No, there is not.
Well, there is
not going to be a good conversation.
I'm just going to say this: good would be cheap date. Certainly, you can go to watch some princess movie, and then you're fine, and get a hamburger. But then also the bad part, I would say, not much of a dowry coming along with the 12-year-old. I got to imagine. I don't think the family's going to come through with a lot of largesse.
Dowry still exists annoys the fuck out of me.
Let me tell you something. If you're marrying off a 12-year-old, dowry is absolutely in your fucking conversational English. There's no doubt the word dowry exists. Look, man, it's the crumbling of an empire. We're watching it from a distance. It's fun.
I want some capes in my reality.
Let's just, you and I,
superheroes in my reality, man.
We can be Tyler and Marla and just be at the top of a building holding hands, watching everything crumble to the fucking ground. It's like you met me at a really weird time in my life.
I don't know if you know this, but it's already crumbled for me.
Oh my goodness, no!
You've had a crumbling week.
Crumbling 6 weeks, sadly.
Yeah.
People were very kind. If you're just tuning in,
where is it at, by the way?
It's I don't know, man. It's just, you know me. I don't want to do anything. You know what I mean? I don't like leaping into life in any way, shape, or form. It's not a thing where I want to go ahead and go, oh, I should go ahead. You know what? I like being dutiful. That's what I like doing. I like being someone who has to pay attention to stuff and meet deadlines. Isn't that great?
Oh, you're doing well.
I'm fine. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm embarrassed.
7,600 right now. That's amazing.
I don't know why you're saying that out loud on shows. I was going to get to that eventually.
I'm sorry. I was just looking it up to see where you're at.
Yeah, people have been very kind. People are nice. You know what I mean? And in case you're new, there's a GoFundMe you can visit if you want, and you don't have to. Because I was in a car accident 6 weeks ago, totaled my car, and I've been frozen ever since. Like literally just trying to get stuff together. And again, I'm not good at real life. All right. I am, because I can do it. I know what to do. I can go through the motions, but there's the same guy who had the meltdown over the fucking microphone still lives in me. And he's just like, oh, what the fuck? Why do this? Why? What the fuck? Why am I answering the door? You know what I mean? Like that thing. Oh, I don't want to take this call. You know what I mean? You just want to fucking hide from everything, but I can't hide. This is, my car is gone and I need to fucking live. I got to pay bills. I got to do everything. And I want to do it. And you guys have all been very kind and stepped up, and you're making it so much easier for me to do that. And it makes me happy. But then, you got to go look for cars. You got to talk to people. You got to go online. I don't want to do any of that shit, man. And yet it exists. It's what I have to do. I had to cancel a dentist. It's funny. I had to cancel a dentist appointment. Cause I'm supposed to get a teeth cleaning. And I have to be honest with you, like in the midst of not having a car and not knowing what's going to happen, teeth cleaning sounds like just the most like extravagant expense I could ever have. You know what I mean? Just like, hey, I'm going to go have professionals buff my fucking choppers. It just sounds like what a king would do in my current circumstance. I understand it's part of regular life. We all do it. We all do it all the time. And I had just gotten back into going to the dentist. And I talk about that in here. I don't know if I did. I went to see my dentist. I got referred to the dentist. It's Lenny's dentist. And Lenny loves his dentist. And I was like, hey, man, do you think I could? He goes, oh, yeah, man, I'll refer you. You'll totally get in. They'll totally see you. I said, great. And they love Lenny. Not only does Lenny love them, they love Lenny, to the point where when I walked in, and again, I don't know if I've talked about this on here.
You did. It's okay.
Oh, okay. And I walked in and Lenny's headshot's on the wall. I mean, it's like, Jesus Christ. So I had to cancel a teeth cleaning with them. And because it just sounded ridiculous that I would ever get my teeth cleaned in this circumstance. You know what I mean? It's like, why
do we do that? Why do we not take care of ourselves because one bad thing happened?
Well, I still brush my teeth twice a day. I use 2 different mouthwashes.
You know what I'm saying, though? It's this thing where we don't allow ourselves what everyone else gets to have because we somehow think we have to be punished or we have to be.
It's a challenging thing. And I've been thinking a lot about it lately because I grew up in a different time from young people today who want to, like, there are baseball players now and they will leave the team because they have anxiety. And they'll put them on the 10-day, injured list. And people will be like, you're so brave for stepping up. You're so this, you're so that. And I think to myself, 30 years ago, they would have been like, what the fuck is wrong with you, pussy? Get back in the fucking game. And people would have been justified in that response because the majority would have agreed with it.
Yeah, it's awful.
But it is awful. And I think that's one of the reasons where it's such a schism now in the world, in the country, however you want to look at it. People are living longer. So there's more old people than ever before. And the young people are champing at the bit to change the world. And the old people are like, fuck off. We're still here and we're not going anywhere. And then young people, they are a certain way and the old people scoff. And it's always been that way. Old people, I never wanted to be one of those people who grew up and was like, oh man, these fucking kids and their music and their fucking rowdy dow and their little stamp in their feet. You know what I mean? Like anybody who's just out of touch and ridiculous and doesn't understand that this world belongs to the youth and should, and get out of the fucking way. And I think the real schism is that now young people are getting tired of getting fucking put in the meat grinder. And, you hear about this stuff like quiet quitting. You hear about all of these different things. And, there's a meme where it's like, get out of this house. You got to get a job. Go flip burgers. And it's like, oh my God, you're 20. You're still flipping burgers. What's wrong with you? And then the third one is like, oh, what? You want $20 an hour to flip burgers? What the fuck? And then the fourth one is like, and then the fourth one is, why won't anybody flip burgers anymore? And it's like, because you've put this arbitrary fucking shame spiral in the job itself. Yeah. It's the first job everybody gets. but you better get the fuck out of that job and move on with your life. And also, if you do keep that job and make it your career, which you can, because maybe you like making hamburgers, maybe you enjoy putting apple pies in a microwave, maybe you like dealing with the public and wearing polyester. Who the fuck am I to judge? But then when you then say, well, look, I should be paid a commensurate amount for this job, and I've been here for 8 years, whatever. And then they go like, oh, if you got a real fucking job, then you could fucking, you know what I mean? It's like, it never ends. The goalposts are on a scooter. They're constantly being moved all over the field, no matter how many people want to argue. So young people young people are like, hey man, I don't want to work at McDonald's because I smell like fucking hamburgers and it's fucking humiliating to be there for 11 hours or whatever the fuck standing on my feet. Cause I will tell you, I talked about it. I didn't, you weren't here, but on the last show, I talked about working at the ramen joint for a few days. And I said, it's been 30 years since I've been on my feet. And by the end of the first night, I was broken. Like I went home, I took a fucking shower. I just flopped on the couch. By the third day, much better because your body adapts, you get used to it. But boy, oh boy, the idea of these people being on their feet all day and then being told they're not worth a certain amount of money is fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
And also I've tried to pivot my mind. I'll go into a store now, like a CVS or whatever, a Walgreens. And the people behind the counter, I don't expect them to smile. I don't expect them to be like, hey, sir, how you doing? Or whatever. It's cool if they do.
Yeah.
But I used to leave a place and just go, that guy's a sourpuss. Like, what the fuck? Without thinking, well, it's because he's at fucking Walgreens for fucking 8 hours.
Yep.
And I've worked in those types of jobs. You know what I mean? I've worked, fuck, Uber is essentially nothing but a retail job where I'm mobile and get to sit down. You know what I mean? It's weird. So this schism is exploding in the world where young people are like, this world is not acceptable the way it is. And the old people are like, not only is it acceptable, but we want to throw it back another 25 years to when it was the way we liked it. And it's this constant people swinging at an empty piñata. It's fucking crazy. Like, I don't know. So, when you say that about punishing us, it's completely true. Like, I shouldn't look as teeth cleaning as extravagant. The only reason it's extravagant to me is because it would be $80 for me that I don't fucking have right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I should be able to go get my teeth cleaned every whatever the fuck, 6 months. That's a cool thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And other people should have access to it. Like but again, and I love you. I don't want to turn this into an anti-capitalist rant and whatever the fuck else.
But everything is an anti-capitalist rant when it comes down to solutions.
I'm just saying, I talked about this in year 2, I believe, of the show. Like, female hobos should get free tampons.
Everyone should get free tampons.
That's fine. We'll extrapolate it to that because
everyone should get free tampons and everyone should get free food.
All right. Well, now you're going bananas.
And free healthcare.
Okay, healthcare, yes, and tampons to me come under the rubric of healthcare.
Why shouldn't people have free food?
Well, you can have free food if you like grass.
That's not what I mean. Basic needs need to be met. And if basic needs aren't met, nothing else will work because you can't have your people living in despair. And, people are like, why is crime so high? And I'm like, because people have basic needs not being met. And if they have their basic needs met, they won't be doing recreational drugs to escape from the reality of they don't have their basic needs met. Therefore, they won't break your window. Crime will go down excessively if people just have food and a roof over their head.
Well, allow me to jump in here as the old guy.
Okay, old guy, you're wrong.
All right. Well, why are these people able to afford recreational drugs if they can't buy food?
They aren't.
You're telling me I should give them free food, and because I don't, they turn to recreational drugs. Well, fine. Maybe you table your weed expenses and go ahead and buy a taco.
Here's the thing: when you are hungry and in despair.
Let me stop you real quick. I'm just devil's advocating. I'm not. These are not my positions.
But here's the point: when you are hungry and your basic needs are not being met, you are looking for an escape. You are not going to go buy a Twinkie because it's not going to give you the escape that drugs give you. And I know that as someone who used to do drugs a lot.
Yes.
I medicated myself for years as I went through therapy and discussed why I drank and why I did coke and ADHD and why a stimulant is better for me than a depressant because of the way my, makeup is in my brain. So the reality is if I can not afford food, but I can at least get an escape and have some sort of pleasure and dopamine, that is where I'm going to go, because a hamburger doesn't give me dopamine. It gives me stability, and there's a difference. Protein gives your body the ability to continue. Drugs gives your brain the escape that you need.
Yes, I hear you, but these are unsolvable issues.
They are not unsolvable. They are completely solvable. Without
a complete upending of the way this country has existed and done business for the past 50 years.
And do you know who would not benefit from that? Billionaires.
Your corporate masters.
Billionaires.
I get
that's it. Yes. Everybody else would benefit. Everybody else would have a better, calmer, happier society.
I understand that, but but I hear what you're saying. But when you say them as solutions, okay, I agree with you. That would all be great, but also it would be really cool if Shazam was here to help with all of the problems. You see what I'm saying? But both of them are equally likely.
I think we have 2 Shazams right now in the Tennessee House.
Oh my Christ! Stop! Oh, please do not do that.
Why not?
That's another thing. Because they're. I watched them. I found them to be incredibly impressive. And like I said, this should be the flashpoint. I hope this is the turning point where people start to realize.
But that's what I mean by that. It's a flashpoint. It's a spark. It's a bolt of lightning right now going, there's an injustice that should not have happened. Yes. It did happen. And how are we going to fix it moving forward? That's what I mean by that. I don't think they're heroes. They're probably just 2 guys. Everybody is just a human.
That's what I meant.
But the flashpoint of that, Shazam and something changes is you have to have a lot of people saying Shazam for it to change.
Understood. And I root for them to be extraordinary.
What are you doing to help them be extraordinary? This is the question that I have for everybody. What are you doing to help them vote?
I'm begging strangers for money for a car. I'm doing fucking nothing to help them be extraordinary. Okay. I'm trying to make myself ordinary again.
I understand.
There's nothing extra about me.
I understand that. What I mean, though, is how are you helping in the world to put out the energy and the change that can happen? And it can be little things like just shutting down people who are racist. It can be little things like just, you can have that opinion, but you're a dinosaur and eventually dinosaurs will die off if they don't change. Grow your arms longer or die off. It doesn't make any difference to me because life will continue to evolve without you. And that is literally my attitude right now when anybody comes at me with bullshit. I'm like, I've managed 3 years not to get COVID. You've had it 4 times. Please tell me how you are the evolutionary better thing here.
Well, I don't thrust myself into bullshit. I don't wind up in these discussions or anything. So I guess I can't claim to be changing anything. Every time I
go out with a mask on, I get people challenging me because I have a mask on or laughing at me.
And I don't wear a mask, so that doesn't happen to me.
Thanks.
But why? Hey man, when I'm with you, I wear a mask.
I know.
Again,
it just goes to show the apathy of people only care if it directly affects something that they care about.
Well, you know what? I've been boosted and I've been vaxxed and I haven't got COVID either. So I'm doing something right. Okay. And
not really.
Well, then fuck me.
I will be very sad when you get it. I will be very sad when you get it. I've had a couple friends that have gotten it after 3 years and they're like, it wasn't that bad because I was boosted. And I go, yeah, but you didn't have to get it.
Yeah.
You don't have to get COVID. There are ways to keep from getting COVID forever.
I don't have it. I haven't had it. I won't get it. There you go. Planting a flag. Right in the face of medicine. I'm taunting it. I'm taunting you, COVID. Step across. You want some of this? Jump out of your petri dish and fucking leap in here. I got plenty of lung space. Who fucking wants
this?
Me?
Is the invincibility of individualism that causes all of the problems in the world.
Look, you've been here for 14 years. I'm unkillable. Everybody knows this.
I don't believe that's true.
I've been in fucking like 6 car accidents. I've been hit by a car and flew like fucking 15 feet, landed on my shoulder and got up and punched the hood.
Holy shit, maybe you're Shazam.
Yeah, that could be. I might be fucking Bruce Willis from Unbreakable. Go out there and lift weights with fucking fill some milk jugs with gravel and do some weightlifting.
Was he dead in that?
No, he was unbreakable.
What was the one that
I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Oh.
So just know
the Titanic. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm saying just know out there right now in Bruce Willis's oeuvre, there's a movie where he's dead. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Well,
And logic would lead you to think that it was Die Hard because it's just right there in the title. I'll let you find out for yourself. Go ahead.
You spoiled Shazam for 20 minutes.
I don't know if I spoiled it, really. I mean, if you didn't know that Shazam was going to wind up fighting gods from another universe or whatever the fuck. I mean, it's not, you can't spoil nonsense. Nonsense is nonsense. But I mean, with plot twists and things like that, like I could spoil Knock at the Cabin for you if you'd like.
Don't care.
Did you see Knock at the Cabin?
No.
M. Night Shyamalan? M. Night Shyamalan could make these movies until he's dead. He could
and that won't happen soon enough for me.
I mean, it's just, he literally is just making Black Mirror episodes. He's
it's
just
so weird
every 18 months because they'll live. Somebody's got to get something out of the red box. I'm serious. It's like he's a dude who's a name. I believe he was nominated for an Oscar for the first one.
Yeah.
And he follows the same kind of formula. It's a comfortable thing if you get into it.
He's the Black Adam of horror films.
Yeah, the Knock at the Cabin is, again, and please know, I didn't pay a dime to see Knock at the Cabin. I watched it at my house because whatever the fuck, nothing. You know, I'm
you
trapped.
Pay a dime then because it's on cable that you pay for.
Yes, you would think so.
Okay.
Now let's talk about capitalism. All right.
I have a question for you. Do you have
yes.
Showtime?
In the recent unpleasantness, I had it until like 2 months ago, but in the recent unpleasantness, I had to whack it.
Did you watch Yellow Jackets?
I did not. I heard a lot about it.
Okay, never mind then. I don't want to talk about it.
I will talk about this. Do you watch Succession?
Yes, I haven't watched the new episode yet.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to say this. I did not watch Succession. I was not a guy. And then about 3 weeks ago, when they said it was the last fucking season, I was like, you know what, because I have never watched Better Call Saul. I have never watched the Daredevil. I watched the first season of Daredevil. I'm supposed to watch it. Dude, I've never seen The Wire. All right, so there's TV shows I just never watched. I know. I never watched the last 3 seasons of Mad Men. I never watched the last 3 seasons of 30 Rock. Whatever. So there's stuff that I loved that I didn't see. But anyway, Succession, I went, all right, well, look, because if there's an arbitrary ending, I in my brain, I go, all right, well, I can handle that. I can watch it because I know it's ending. It's not this extended universe. Like the thing is that's daunting about Better Call Saul. It's like 6 seasons. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Every season was worth it.
I've heard it's better than Breaking Bad, which I consider Breaking Bad and Sopranos the best television shows I've ever seen.
I wouldn't say better, but it was different in an interesting way because Walter White had a specific thing that started all of this, and Saul's specific thing is so much different.
Yeah. So it's something I want to see. Yeah. I just haven't. But Succession, it was like, all right, well, the new one's premiering and, I can get ahead of it if I start to binge or whatever. So I binge watched the first season and I thought to myself, and I tweeted it actually, and I said, it's fantastic writing and incredible acting. And what if we just ditched the corporate intrigue and we had all of these terrible people beat each other to death with hammers? What if we just did that? Because everyone is fucking awful. They're awful. Everybody in the show is fucking awful.
Well, everybody is broken.
Well, all right, but wait. So that's after the first season. I said that, right? And then I've now caught up. I'm completely caught up, and it's. I have to admit, it's right there with fucking Breaking Bad and The Sopranos as an unbelievable achievement. The acting, dude. I don't. Kieran Culkin is dude, phenomenal. And so is, and Jeremy Strong is, and Brian Cox, all of them, Sarah Snook. Dude, the first season, I was like, I love this person. I don't know. I've never seen her before, but she was, whenever she showed up, this will sound weird, she brought light. Like for some reason, it was, even though she's got a black soul like everybody else, her exterior is so bright and beautiful. I don't know how to explain it. She's magnetic. She's unbelievably, and they all are in their own way. But in that, because I know I've seen Jeremy Strong in a bunch of projects. I've seen Kieran Culkin and stuff, and like Scott Pilgrim and stuff. But I had no idea who she was. And in my brain, I was like, I don't know who this is, but I want to know everything about her from now on. I mean, I will watch anything she's in. It's how I felt about Mia Goth when I saw Mia Goth in Triple X and Pearl and stuff. And that Anya Roma Joy or whatever the fuck her name is from The Menu and stuff. You just see them and they're unique, and you just want to then see everything they've ever done because they're incredible.
Do you think anything of that has to do with their physical look and their emotional brokenness? Let's get into a little bit of psychoanalysis here. Sorry, I stepped away
Eh,
from the mic.
I don't know. Like I no, because I wasn't like with Mia Goth. I just thought that I. It wasn't this thing where like I lusted for her.
Yeah.
It was a thing where I went, these performances are outrageously good. They're and the second one
Okay.
in Pearl, like because I said it, I was like I said 2 weeks ago I didn't know who this person was, and now I think she's one of the best actors alive because of what she did in Triple X and Pearl. She was
Yeah.
incredible. And I didn't see Suspiria. I just watched Infinity Pool, which is a complete mind fuck, and she's in that. And look, now you pivot a little bit, and is there some lusting involved? Yeah, she's really different and unique and hot, and all of that it plays at it too. But I'm saying as far as an actress and who she is as a person, I find myself in. We did a show a while ago, and I said I want to be great. I find myself taken by greatness when you see it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. No, I get it.
I saw Shazam. Shazam's fine, but it almost in your like in my brain I go, this is a waste of time if it's not great. Why am I not watching great? You know what I mean? And that's a weird thing to be. I don't want to be that person. I want to experience all things and see things, but I also like when people take a big swing for the fences. So I've recently become fascinated with, and not recently, I've just reinvigorated my fascination with people like Mia Goth and Anya Taylor-Joy. The past 2 weeks I have been in a Ricky Jay hole, like watching YouTube clips, reading the amazing profile from the New Yorker in 1993. Ricky Jay was an astonishing human being. You probably have some touched on to him. You might.
Yeah.
Do you have bad experiences with him? Because I know he did not like the castle, and he was kind of an elitist, and he was kind of a prick, from what I've heard.
A lot of genius comes with a lot of prick.
Yeah, we always, genius gets a lot of rope.
Yeah.
And eventually it might hang itself with it, which is
Yeah.
which is understood. But there is something to me about someone who is so almost otherworldly in their skill and talent that then they would look at other purveyors of that and go, this is fucking awful. Like dismiss them completely out of hand.
Yeah.
Like, so I understand why he, who almost seemed to be magic incarnate, you know what I mean? He would look at other people because his thing was essentially in from all I've read and seen. I mean, I don't know, because he was always very close to the chest and he never really betrayed everything, because that was this whole deal.
Yeah.
He was a fucking con. But he respected the art and wanted nothing less than greatness in the art. In my what I saw from him.
There is a real problem with that in the elitism in magic. And I will say that without any hesitation, because a lot of magicians believe that there are hacks and there are people who are true artists and there's nothing in between. And they give no grace for the growth that it takes to become very good at something. And that's where the bad rap comes in, because they don't allow people or help people grow.
But in contrast to that, he believed in the standards of magic from the beginning,
Yes.
from the 1500s, from this, and he absorbed those lessons. He was a walking encyclopedia of them, and he felt that a newer wave didn't give a fuck about where this stuff came from, and they just cared about learning and then getting up on stage and trying to make money real quick, instead of understanding this not as an art form but as a lifestyle almost.
Right. And with that comes the religious overtone of gatekeeping of knowledge and the looking down on women and other. And it really becomes very bothersome. Well, there's another very famous magician who I have had the most horrible experiences with. And when he finally died, people were like, I guess you'll be dancing on his grave now because you hated him. And I'm like, no, I'm just really glad that that mentality is gone, because now magic can grow. And that is really important, especially when people do treat it as though it is some sort of real power that they can attain and have in the art form. Because again, it's all just a con. Magic is a con.
Yeah, it's tricks
So to pretend that it is so lofty and so amazing is disingenuous, in my opinion.
but I disagree. If you read what I've read and the things I've seen
I
of him,
understand what you're saying, but I
he
look at it from the perspective of it has always been gate kept away from certain types of people.
yeah, I didn't get any of that in any of the stuff I'm reading
Yeah.
about him. There was no discussion of minorities or women.
When you look
It
at
was,
it, well, there is none because there weren't any.
yeah,
And
but
the few that were,
but
you know,
I think you're seizing this issue for yourself.
I
I'm
think
talking
I'm
about
seizing
one
this
particular guy.
Yes, I understand that. But the problem is the people that follow that philosophy often follow it for all the wrong reasons.
But also, he didn't see magic as lofty and above. He saw it as in the dirt. He literally
Yes.
was all of those, learned pigs and fireproof women. Like he was fascinated with the jugglers and the fucking axe throwers and
Yes.
the
Again,
mentalists.
there is a overall arcing thing in people who believe in the idea that you have to understand the entire history. The greatest advice I ever got from a magician is, why are you trying to impress other magicians? Impress an audience. And I was like, yeah. And that's something that the people who are like, this is a great art and you need to understand. Of course you need to understand it. Learn the rules to learn how to break them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, I think Ricky Jay is great in many, many ways. Yeah.
He's a miracle. I see the things he does, and again, reading, certainly a curmudgeon, you know what I mean, and absolutely a
I'm not going to say anything
probably
negative about him specifically. I'm going to say the idea of the whatever. It doesn't matter.
To divorce ourselves from that, let's just look at the fact that he was an unbelievable purveyor of his art.
Yeah.
Astonishingly so. Like you see it and he could probably make you question your sanity, because there's again, there's an anecdote in the if you can read the 1993 The New Yorker,
yes.
the profile of him. He ran with a very small clique of guys who could do somewhat what he could do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They all speak of him with reverence and awe. Well, he had left a shirt over at a guy's house, and the guy was returning it, but he thought it would be funny to wear the shirt over to Ricky's house. And he brings the shirt over, and Ricky's like, ha ha. And he goes, well, just throw it over there. And they wind up having a conversation. Then the guys, he was picking up some tickets from Ricky, and Ricky's like, blah, blah, blah. And Ricky goes, oh, you know what? Actually, check over there. And they were in the pocket of the shirt that the guy had worn to the apartment. And the guy's like, the guy goes, you can't fool me. And that fooled me. And I sat there and I was mad. I was mad. You know what I mean? Because they don't know. And I love reading those things where they don't know, because he did this in the one preview too, when he was at American Masters. It's a famous, and this is not his illusion, but he had known, there was another guy who had done it, Mandolini, who was a guy who he would always reference in his stuff. And in the middle of summer, he took a woman to a restaurant, and he took a card and he put his hat over it, and and then he pulls up the hat, and there's a block of ice under the hat. A big block. The one said a big block of ice. She goes, we drove together to the restaurant. We sat at this booth. Like, there's no way I chose the booth. Like, she was trying to explain. She's like, it's the closest I've felt to a supernatural experience. I can't explain, because she goes, it wasn't melting. There was no sweat, like no condensation on the table. And it was 95 degrees in Los Angeles. He took the hat off, and there's the block of ice. And like I said, it was not he didn't create this illusion. He had just recreated Mandolini's illusion after telling her about it. And she goes, I don't even want to know how it was done. I just prefer to hold this miracle in my heart for my life. I find that fascinating, that you could have that sort of power and that sort of sway with and over people. It's incredible to be so accomplished at what you do that people question their own sanity is just, that's got to be the peak, right? That has to be.
Though?
I think it might be. To make people like I think I'm very good at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very kind when people write me to tell me that, or they, I reached out. There was a listener who actually gave some money to the GoFundMe, a listener named Angelo. And he's just a terrific guy. He's just a nice guy. I only know him through Facebook. I never met this fucking guy. I might have met him at a Texas show. I don't think I did because he's in Arizona. Here's more. Here's his home address. Fucking idiot. And I reached out to him and to thank him, for what he had done, and also because there are people who have written me like 20 Facebook messages, and I haven't answered them. I haven't opened them because once I open them, then I have to answer them, and it's embarrassing, and I feel like an idiot.
Just sit down and spend some time answering.
So I actually called Angelo because he had put his phone number in one of the Facebook things, and I called him, and it's always weird to do that because these people don't know me really, and he answered the phone. And I said, hey, am I catching you at a weird time? And he's like, well, I'm with my girl. I go, all right, bye. I said, I don't. And he goes, no, stop. And I go, no, it's fine. I'll call you another time. I can call you Monday, whatever. And he goes, will you stop? It's fine. And he goes outside. He goes, no, I'm outside. Well, we can talk. We only talked for I think 15 minutes. But he told me it was nice to talk to him because I enjoyed, again, I got to thank him personally for what he had done. But then he was kind enough to thank me for the show and tell me what it meant to him, which is always cool to hear.
Yeah.
And so when I hear that from people, to know that I have a friend named Jill who texted me, and she's like, go talk. She's like, just stop what you're doing now and go talk. And I said, well, I just put on a 4-hour show. And she's like, I know, but I'm just letting you know that people do want to hear you. Get out of your fucking brain. And the fact that anybody cares enough about what you do and that it makes them feel something,
yes,
is incredible. And what I'm saying is if you can do what you do and make them feel something to the extreme where a woman is like, I don't even want to know how this miracle occurred, I will just always remember it forever, that has to be the peak of relating to or performing for people, is having and living in their heart forever.
Yes. My friend Hannibal, who now works at the Stanley Hotel, he does a seance there. It's called 13. He had for many years been doing Is that here in LA? It's in Denver. It was the basis of the Overlook. Yeah.
Is this the haunted hotel where people like NBA players talk about staying there sometimes, I think? Or there's one in Oklahoma that's
the Stanley too. Is where fucking guy that got hit by a van. God damn it. Stephen King wrote.
I know a Minotaur that got hit by a van.
Stephen King wrote with the twins, Danny, come out and play forever and ever.
Hold on a second. Your touchstone for Stephen King is the guy who got hit by a van. This guy has written 1,000 bestsellers.
It's not a touchstone.
80 movies that were made from them. Who's that idiot with the overbite from Massachusetts? I know that fucking guy. He got whacked by a van, right? That guy?
My brain locks. And so I have to pull, like I said, sometimes I'll tell Eddie, bring the elevator over. I need to get something off the top shelf. And he just looks at me and knows I mean ladder. But what is his name?
Stephen King.
Stephen King. So Stephen King went there, stayed there, and then wrote The Shining.
Okay.
Based on this hotel. And so they have now got a seance in there and some different things that they do. One of the routines that he does that Hannibal has written as a magician is called Silver Memories. And it involves the push-up ice cream cones.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And people come out literally crying because it evokes these amazing memories of their childhood. And he's doing a coin trick, essentially. You know, I don't want to give anything away because I don't give away magic. He does another thing called the Elf and the Shoemaker, and it's the story of the elf and the shoemaker making the boots, and he makes origami boots, and the magic is not just the illusion, it's the storytelling. He's an incredible storyteller. He's wonderful. And if you ever get a chance to go there, go tell him Lily says hello. He used to be my roommate. He is the kind of magician that you're discussing about Ricky Jay, because when he does something, he does it to create a memory in a moment. Eddie does that. Eddie does that with magic. It is not about the illusion. It is about the effect it has on you, not the actual effect. I went and saw David Copperfield make a giant fucking spaceship appear, and I went, yeah, that's cool. Didn't touch me, didn't move me. Watching him shed his single tear on stage that he does every night didn't move me. The story of his father didn't move me. None of it touched me. None of it did. Because I know that it's filled with a room full of illusions he bought. He didn't even make them. And so there's nothing magical about that experience for me. So I have a completely different, because I can tell you how that ice block appeared.
Yeah. Don't tell me.
Well, I won't. I mean, but I can tell you how a coin appears behind your ears. I can tell you how I pull a 6-foot pole out of my vajayjay on stage. I mean, I can tell you those things. And again, I think the impact of the magic and the story is more important than the magic itself. And I think a lot of magicians do have a tendency to go, here's the new thing that you can buy. But if you go back and you read the entire works of, Di Vernon, and you go back and you go, here's how the original, here's an object, the object disappeared, here's how we found it again. That is the basis of magic. And yes, I see people like Rick Lax and a couple of them that, you can tell it's staged audiences on TikTok when they're doing these, oh, she didn't know this was going to appear. And I'm like, I knew it was going to appear, because what else is going to happen? He's a magician.
Yeah.
And, they have all of these fake audience. So I do think it's important to understand how it happened to bring it to that. But I also believe that there's less interest in the performance than there is in the I'm great and you're not bullshit in magic. There's a lot of elitism in it that way. So that's why I'm jaded.
Understood. I don't, he may have been an elitist. He was certainly a snob.
I don't know. I don't know him specifically well enough, but I know most of the people who revere him are fucking assholes that I've met.
But because you know why? Because you can have all of the attitude with none of the fucking talent.
Even with the talent. I mean, I used to
saying.
love Penn and Teller, and now I'm just like, man, they are just, Teller's a genius as far as his putting stuff together. But, and again, good for them. I'm glad they're making money. And they changed a lot of things about magic, and they believe that women are the future of magic. They're like, men have given it everything that men can fucking come up with. They're inspired when they see a woman come out and do something. One of my friends does a magic trick, and a card appears in a tampon, and people lost their minds.
Yeah.
And her answer was, well, women have tampons. What would we be doing magic with? We're not going to put a card out of our fly where our penis is. It's going to be something that's in our purse. Why do you think people use handkerchiefs and coins? Because men had handkerchiefs and coins. If we carried rocks, magic would all be done with rocks, And so it's like nothing genuinely really new and exciting, other than, like what you say, the impact of that ice block had nothing to do with the magic trick. The impact of that showing up in there had nothing to do with it. Eddie does that shit at the castle all the time with people, because he has patience.
I will say
this:
a magic trick. If a woman magician wants to impress me, she can make clean dishes appear and have my dinner on a table at a certain time. Is this your dinner? Well, I hope so. You fucking made it.
Go watch Women in Boxes. You'll love the misogyny.
I like boxes and women. I'll tell you that. To your point about the people, illusions are bought.
Yeah.
Ricky Jay in that profile that I can't stop referencing, he mentions that he's approached by a magician who says, I saw you years ago. You did this incredible trick. And he's like, oh, well, thank you. It's nice. And he goes, yeah, there was a mechanical monkey. It was a monkey trick that you invented. And Ricky Jay's like, oh yeah. And the guy goes, yeah. He goes, audiences go crazy when I do that.
Yeah.
And Ricky Jay said in his brain, he's like, I worked years to perfect that. And now this guy bought it from somebody, and and that's the people he's talking about. The people who just look at it for pure mercenary reasons, that sort of thing.
It is brutal. One time when Rob the Balloon Guy performed at Monday Night Tease, he did a fan
hold
act.
On. Is he Rob the Balloon Guy? Or are you telling me that I should rob the balloon guy?
Don't just rob. That's his name. Don't just rob him. That's
okay.
That's
Thank
his
you.
Joke. So he did a fan dance with 2 tiny little electrical fans that plug in.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience lost their mind because it was so unique and charming and wonderful. And he played it so awkward and cute on stage. And a guy came up to him after the show and went, hey, man, that was really good. I got a show on Friday. I'm going to do that. And he goes, or you could hire me since it's my act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there
are drawing from and standing on the shoulders of the people who came before you. And then there are the people who are just, ripping it off and selling it. Even in my deck of cards where I came up with magic, They're based on original principles and stuff that have been done for years and published and published and published, where, you can find a card, force a card, bring a card back. Girls can lose their clothes in my deck. Those are all based on historical traditional things. I didn't invent anything new, really. Because, here's a card, lose a card, find a card. That is magic.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about comedy. You're telling jokes, there's punches and stuff, and just
punchlines, jokes. Is it about your wife? Is it about your social situation? Is it about politics? Is it about? And then, how do you bring your original feel to it?
So that's what I mean is when I talk about being great. Sometimes that gets in the way here, where I wonder, like I said, that's why we had a mini meltdown with the microphone. I'm like, this isn't great. That's not greatness when your fucking tech fails, or is it great when I'm, But to hear that people out there listen to what I do and they think it's great to a certain extent. Why are you laughing at me? What?
Well, because I'm laughing because if I'm out at lunch with somebody and I'm having a cup of coffee and having a really important conversation with them, and then they take their hat off and there's a block of dry ice there are two reactions to that. One is, oh my God, that was amazing. You fooled me. It was stunning. I don't know how you did that. The other is, Jesus Christ, I'm telling you about the fact that my father died. Put your fucking ice away.
Well, yeah.
Magic boy. You know what I mean? It is all in presentation and connection as well. So the greatness that you give by, your listener who called you and says, just talk, we want to hear you talk, is different than where I just finally went, yay, it's a cake.
I know. But
greatness is so relative.
Well, all right. So that's my point I'm getting to now, in that I don't know what bar I've set. You know what I mean? For what greatness would be. Is greatness just showing up and doing the show all the time and then creating off the top of my head? I don't know. I find myself, like I said, so I find myself chasing people like Ricky Jay and thinking, boy, that's to be at the peak, to be at the pinnacle, to be someone who can move people and be that incredible is a shocking thing and something to aspire to, and I watched, you got me into watching a ton of TikTok,
Yep.
So I found a TikTok account, and I don't want to out, whatever, because
is it Siegfried and Joy? Oh,
it is no, it's not.
Where they make everybody appear and disappear. It's hilarious.
All right, people keep trying to get me to do TikTok. They're like, do TikTok, do YouTube, all these different things, and yes, I should. Clearly, I have 3 television stations and I don't do anything with them. It's ridiculous. Okay, but because everybody's like, you should just do like a movie review thing. And I'm like, that's the lowest of hanging fruit because everybody in the fucking world does it. Everybody's like,
and yet there are people who made an entire living off of it, like Leonard Maltin.
Yes, I understand that, but that's my point. That's what.
And they do it well.
This is what I'm getting to, because everybody's like, you should review food. You should just, go ahead and you do this or eat something. And I said, I did that from Japan. I reviewed Japanese snacks. I had a fun time. But then, like I said, everybody does it. It's just this thing where the bar of entry is so low.
Stop for a second. How many fucking comedians in the world are there, but you still do stand up? How many fucking podcasts are out there, but you still record a podcast?
Well, all right, but it gets in the way because when I don't do a podcast, it's because I'm like, there's a million podcasts out there. Nobody wants to hear mine.
But the point is, you just do you and you be the best you can be, and that's all that matters.
Yes, that's the canoe I've got to sail across my ocean of brain of nonsense. I understand that. I've got to find a way to make that work.
The canoe of the brain of nonsense.
I'm
damn it, I love it.
Oh boy. Well, so my point is, there's a TikTok guy I watch, and his entire shtick is, because this is a TikTok genre, I suppose, where they play alongside another video and comment on that video.
Yes, I sent you my chef that I love, Chef Reacts.
Okay, it's funny you would mention that because that's who I'm talking about.
I love him.
He's great. And in my brain, I was like, you know what? I could do this. This is super easy. It's just literally watching stuff and making fun of it. I've grown. That's my life. I've done that my entire life. So yesterday, Chef Reactions is the name of the TikTok account. Go watch it. It's terrific. However, yesterday he put up a video and it was like, all right. And he's leaving for a while. He's going to continue doing his videos, but he had to quit his job. He gets to take care of his grandmother.
Yeah.
He has over 2 million followers. But then he's talking. I'm just like, oh, that's a drag. Because I just look at these people as, they're on a phone making fun of fucking people cooking. And then at the end he goes, I have some opportunities. Like I just signed with William Morris Endeavor because of this.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I was like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? 90-second reaction videos talking about soup, and he signed with William Morris. And I just looked at myself and I go, what are you doing?
He built a brand.
Yeah, his brand is snarky guy in chef coat, and it got him signed with William Morris.
No, his brand is chef who is snarky.
Yeah,
he's not like a world famous, but he's an accomplished chef that works, understands it, and therefore can be very funny with it with his sardonic snark.
My point is, good for him. What he does is great. I watched it every time it came up. I thought he was terrific at what he did. But in my brain, what I'm saying is I keep keeping myself out of these things because I'm like, well, that's just fucking stupid. Why would anybody watch that? Why would anybody do this? This guy just signed with William Morris and Endeavor. And in my brain, I'm like,
if you
what
build
are they going to do?
They will come.
Are they going to develop a 90-second show where he makes fun of fucking chili? I mean, I don't. And perhaps he's more talented. Certainly, I'm sure there's something where he's like, well, no, you don't understand. He's got so much to offer.
He'll end up with a cooking show and a cookbook, and he'll end up doing this until whenever.
Yes. But it was another reason for me to self-flagellate because I was just like, man, what the fuck are you doing other than keeping yourself from opportunities by not doing the things you're supposed to fucking do because you keep convincing yourself that nobody wants to hear it. It's like,
show us on the big board where he is correct.
Well, it's like when Mex started his podcast. I was like, well, everybody's going to go listen to that now. Nobody wants to listen to this one. You know what I mean? It's just because he was a huge component of this one. So he started his and it was
his is different.
I know. But I don't know that in the moment when I sit there and I just go, well, you know what? He kind of took the fucking baton and he's running with it and people will go listen to him now instead of me. And that's fine. And I'm not saying that's a right way to think. I'm saying that's the disease I have where I think to myself, I'm so easily, and I know it's rooted in childhood and bullshit. You so easily left behind, so easily this, whatever the fuck. I understand all of that. I am the Shazam of podcasting, and I'm now unveiling to you all of my fucking childhood bullshit. I understand. Nobody gives a shit about it. Truly. You just want me to go punch a dragon. I should be punching or at least making fun of a dragon.
Here's the thing that I will make as an inside and outside observer. You would rather be mad about the microphone dropping for 2 seconds than do the work of just editing it out. You would rather tell people about it and complain about it than edit it out.
I'm going to dispute that. I would not rather do that. It feels to me that it needs to be commented on because I comment on fucking everything that's occurring in this show.
But everything doesn't have to be commented on because, again, you're doing a show.
But this show is talking at the speed of my head, and whatever's in my head is coming flying out.
But if you were talking to a friend and something happened, you would just pick back up where you were and continue to be entertaining and enjoyable. But part of the craft of podcasting is the technical side as well as the talking side. Yeah, and the problem is you don't want to deal with the technical side.
But I have to deal with it, especially when the microphone drops out. It must be commented on.
No, you want to talk about it. You don't want to deal with it. There's
I got to deal with it when we're done. I got to cut out whatever the fuck I got to cut out. But at the same time,
the point is, you don't have to talk about everything. You have to talk about what is. You will not edit.
If you're doing stand up, and someone drops a fucking tray of glasses,
you're not doing stand up. You got to talk podcasting.
About it. This is live.
No, it's not. It's live to tape.
But that's what's different about this show. Other people can live to tape the shit out of it and rent their tuxedos and sit in front of a microphone and whatever the fuck and hit 1 hour on the fucking zeros. But my show is Jackson Pollock. You don't have
to be naked.
This is Jackson Pollock, man.
You
it's
don't
splattered
have
everywhere.
to be naked.
But the show has been for 14 years, and that's what people listen to.
I used to edit out when we had small problems and we didn't talk about it.
When have we had small problems?
We've always had little things happen. Stop. I'm serious.
My point is they've never been small. That's the point.
But the point is there are some things that don't need to be talked about because other things are important. I don't think that 3 minutes ranting about the fact that the microphone went out and technology sucks is as important as the conversation that you're having right now.
I don't think technology sucks. It's a miracle because it's able to bring me to whoever the fuck cares about what I have to say. I understand.
And yet, in the moment, you were like, fuck that microphone.
Because I was furious. I don't want a fucking microphone to drop out. I mean, do your fucking job, microphone.
But you don't have to be furious about that. You can continue on with the point of what you're talking about.
I could fire this microphone. I could fire it. Send it out to the microphone unemployment line. You want to do that? Stand in line with a bunch of old technology, some fucking micro cassette recorder in front of you trying to get benefits, and you're sitting there on a microphone wondering why you dropped out and cost yourself a fucking job. You're just out there with a bunch of lavaliers and Schurs. You want to fucking do that? You want to go ahead and stand in line with a bunch of lavaliers and Schurs from the fucking Jack Benny days? Those giant fucking microphones that have a fucking NBC RKO fucking lightning bolt on it? Fuck you, microphone. Do your fucking job, because I'll kick you the fuck out of here, and you can fucking technological fucking unemployment lines the rest of your goddamn days. Yeah, did you record that, motherfucker? Of course you did. You know where your fucking bread is buttered. Don't make me. Do you guys hear that noise?
No.
People above me, like, I don't know if it's not vacuuming because they move it too fast. It almost, there's a noise. It's something rolling above me, but it's like, it's going back and forth. It's not like all over the place, but then it moves around the apartment. It's like either an extremely heavy Roomba or it's, you ever see that? Remember in the old days when like strongmen would use a wheel with two handles and they would do like kind of like push-ups and roll on it? I'm wondering if the guy upstairs is doing that. You never saw that? Like, it's like a weird kind of a rowing machine, but you lay on your stomach and you hold a wheel and you just roll back and forth. I wonder if he's doing that. His name is Tim. I've seen him a few times. I don't think
he's doing that.
But they're doing, and look, and it's so funny because I was going to ask him and go, what are you constantly rolling up there? And I didn't want him to go, a vacuum, you filth pig. Why don't you vacuum your apartment? You know what I mean? They're like, well, no, I'm not above anybody. He said, I vacuum my apartment, but nobody fucking hears it, except they hear the fucking jet engine thing. But nobody hears the rolling. Demons who might live under my building, maybe they hear it. Do you hear me in hell? Let me ask you this. Do you hear my vacuuming in hell? What am I, Max Beer? Who the fuck was that idiot? Remember that guy? Who was the guy? I'll drink my beers in hell. What the fuck? Who was that guy?
I don't know. I called Stephen King the guy who got hit by a van. Don't be asking me to pull a reference.
True. But I would think you would have an encyclopedic reference to chauvinists, and this guy that was his deal. That was like, I hope the beer's cold in hell, or whatever his name is. And he was like, that was his deal. Like when Tom Likas and those dudes were like just nakedly, aggressively sexist. Likas. Hello, Dad. Hello, son. Right. He was a dude I never understood. Like, because I mean, Howard I got, you know what I mean? And even Imus I understood was like an old people's Howard when I heard him, you know what I mean? But like Likas, I never got that broy fucking bullshit. Because again, you know what always makes me laugh? It's like when they make fuckneck masculine, when they Trump, when they pretend he's tough. That was the thing with Likas. They were like, oh, this guy's drowning in pussy. And then you'd see him and he looked like Bob's Big Boy. I mean, it was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Kind of a half a pompadour, sunglasses on the air. It's like, what are you doing, man? But it fooled enough people and it fucking worked.
Oh my God. My first ex-husband used to listen to him all the time.
And I only bring it up because it is Whip 'em Out Wednesday. That is the only reason I bring it up.
Oh, Anthony and Opie.
Those guys also fucking spun off the cliff. Which one went real bad? They're both bad, but one, I think Opie, I don't remember.
I have blocked so much of that out.
I think Opie's the one who he had a super young girlfriend and she filmed him abusing her in the house and yelling at her for like an hour. It was like fucking ridiculous.
Gee, what a surprise.
Well, that's what I mean. That shit comes out, you're just like, oh Christ. And
well, again, there are people who have personas and there are people who are just assholes with Mike. Yeah. And Sarah Hester does that whole thing. Stop giving men microphones. That makes me laugh.
I got a microphone for him right now. It's fucking falling down on the job. I'll give that to some man out there.
That was a point.
Yeah.
So grit.
So the GoFundMe is still rolling.
Yes, that's what we were talking about. I think the GoFundMe is a great thing, and I think that you'll get back on the road again, and But this is season 1, or this is season 14, episode 1.
Yes.
Are you committed to a weekly show?
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to meet back here next week at noon again.
Every year we do a, every year I try to establish what the year is going to be like. Now I'll tell you this, year 13 did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Truly. I don't know. And also, but year 11 and 12 didn't either because the pandemic and all that bullshit and everything. And, what I have to understand is that no matter what I proclaim or think I'm going to do, it's not going to go that way. You just got to kind of be water and see how it's going to work out.
Let's make a different plan then.
What? Let's plan to do nothing.
Year 14 is chaos.
Oh my goodness. You know what?
We
Yeah,
will
let's flip it over.
thrive and live in chaos in year 14.
I
Tune
thought you
in for the
said-
chaos of year 14.
I thought you said your 14 is chaos. And I thought it was
No.
like you were talking about when I was 14 years old. In
No.
my brain, I'm like, wait a minute.
Year 14, embrace chaos.
You know what though? 14 years ago, yeah, I would have been all over that.
No,
That was the
let's
whole point.
do it.
I like doing it. Yeah, you say this, but then, fat me and you and a Jazzy are not going to chaotically do anything other than fall on
Pat,
our
me,
faces.
and you and a Jazzy is going to be the best comic book team ever.
Oh, forget it. People, fat me and you and a Jazzy, we're going to go to the door and put our hand outside and be like, nah, I don't think so. And then go back in the house.
I will tell you
that's where
that
our chaos is.
if you are ready, I will Thelma your Louise. Or Louise your Thelma. I don't care.
It's great, but let's cut to the car off the cliff. Like,
No.
we don't. Spoiler alert.
Let's change the ending. They thrive in chaos.
Oh my goodness.
Let's
I don't-
Batman and Joker this thing. Okay,
This
let's
is-
Batwoman and Joker this thing because I have the corset for Batwoman.
I think this is a fantastic idea, and you know who really enjoys it? All of the people who just gave me money to get back to a normal life. They're thrilled. What if I? Because honestly, what
You're
if I?
not getting back to a normal life ever.
What if-
so
here-
live in the thrill of you're buying the Chaos Caper Chevrolet.
All right, let's do
That's
this.
what you're
Here's-
going to buy.
All right, let's do this. What if I took all the GoFundMe money and we went to Vegas?
I'm
And I just-
in.
And I just put it on fucking black and just on one spin.
Okay, no, wait. How about we buy a car with the money and we
Yes.
go to Vegas and create chaos?
Isn't there already chaos there? I would
don't know.
think.
I'll be
We're
in
gonna-
Vegas.
we're
By
gonna live
the
in
way, I'll be in Vegas at Viva Las Vegas selling my wares at the car show if anybody wants to join me there.
Wow.
That was my plug.
That is a very
but
that's a
let's
very
go to-
nice way of saying prostitution. I'm not going to lie to you. Selling your
I am
wares.
selling my wares. I have poker chips. No, let's go. Let's go to Vegas in your new car, and we'll go to Vegas to eat some food, and then you'll start a podcast reacting to the drive to Vegas, but you have to wear a mask. And then being in Vegas, we're only going to go for the day. I'm not staying the night. It's too expensive. But we'll go to Vegas for the day, and we'll road trip the whole thing.
You're putting a lot of guardrails on this chaos. You got to wear a mask, and we got to come home the one day. We got to do I got to do 8-hour round trip, and then what?
Controlled chaos. It
That's
is
the shit I-
controlled. Year 14 is controlled chaos.
When I was a kid, that was the shit I would do. Now I don't know if I could pull it off.
We should do it.
We'd get as far as Barstow at Del Taco, and then we'd sleep under the
Not
giant
true
needle.
at all. I
Sleep
would
under the giant
push through
thermometer.
to get to Eddie's World so that we could get food and move on from there.
Oh my goodness! All right, well it's one because I will tell you this. During the pandemic, when I was doing like fuck all in my house, in my brain, I was like, and again, these are all ideas that lead me to not be signed by William Morris. I was like, what if I just drove around, like to different states and ate at different places and did podcasts from different places, like different cities, and just fucking went to Denver or here or drove to Arizona or then drove to Oklahoma, and stopped and actually recorded in the place and talked about what I did. You know what I mean? Like a kind of a Rick Steves for losers. You know what I mean? Like one of those where I wasn't ever on a plane. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go to Europe. It was like Rick Steves America via Camry. You know what I mean? And we just ate weird burgers and shit like that. And I was like, that might be something to do.
Camry chaos.
Camry.
You may go review a movie. You may go review food. Who knows? Maybe you'll review a bed and breakfast. Maybe you'll review a national park. Camry chaos with Mike Schmidt.
Again, I love this idea. You need seed money, and I'm already using my seed money to buy the car that would be needed for it.
You're done. You have the car.
But you got to go. What? I'm asleep in the car, and how do you pay for burgers in fucking Nebraska?
Well, you start small. You drive to the Madonna Inn. You go small.
We start here, and then we turn. All right, well,
Yes, you start
it's a
small.
possibility.
You can make it to the Barstow Original Walgreens Diner. Then you can make it to the we get somebody to comp you into Vegas or into not Vegas into Disney so that you can review the new fucking Disney churro. We start small.
well,
Camry chaos for year 14.
We started small 14 years ago, so clearly we can continue to start small.
I don't think you started small. I think you just started. I think instead of going, this is the year I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, it's like, this is the year of chaos. We're going to just see what happens and do the next thing.
Yeah, but my point is we've established things in the beginning of years, and then it just turned into the year where it was chaos anyway, because whatever the fuck happened.
I know. So you're going to rise to the occasion.
So now I expect it.
Yes.
It's like the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects it, but I truly do expect it, of course.
Who knows what you're going to do to create chaos?
Oh my
Who
goodness.
knows?
I don't know.
Who knows?
This is all fantastic until I wind up in debtor's prison, and then
You're
we have
not
to
going to
go,
be in
what the-
debtor's prison.
Who knows? Well,
Camry chaos.
All right, it's I'm hearing it. We'll see it. Possibly, maybe I'll name the show that. Except for I think Fat Me and You and a Jazzy sounds like a pretty good name for the show
absolutely.
as well.
But who knows what happens when you embrace the chaos instead of fighting it?
You die sooner, probably.
I don't
imagine.
think that's necessarily true.
See, but
they say steer into the curve.
Unfortunately I am the curve. So
they say ride the wave.
Yeah, I know.
They say taste the rainbow. I couldn't think of another one.
Guess who just guessed the product placement in Shazam? Ding, 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 ding. Couldn't believe
Seriously?
it.
Oh.
I'm just going to spoil it. Fuck it. I don't care.
Spoiler alert.
Early in the show, there's a girl, and this is like the most ham-handed way to do it. Hot Shazam comes down and she's like, why did you put Skittles in my pocket? And her white jeans are all red. And she's like, because you're sad. I thought you'd want to pick me up. And then later on, the other girl's eating Skittles. And then later on, they're eating more Skittles. And then when the Minotaurs and the Harpies and the fucking Cyclopses attack, there is another group called the Unicorns, who it turns out are the most vicious beasts and the only beasts that the other monsters are afraid of. And what do we know about unicorns? Well, they're that. And then also that they love ambrosia, which is like honey of the gods. And the cute Shazam goes, I have an idea. And the unicorns one comes charging at her and she throws fucking Skittles in the air and stops the unicorn in her tracks. And she goes, taste the rainbow. And then the unicorn eats that. And then all the unicorns become their friends. And then they ride the unicorns into battle. And the little cute Shazam actually goes, taste the rainbow, motherfucker. And they cut the fuck off because it's a PG-13 movie. But twice we get taste the rainbow straight affiliated with Skittles. Skillets?
See, I think embracing chaos is this year. It is.
I know you're pushing for that. I can see it. Well,
yeah, because think about it. Every show you can open up and be like, guess what the fuck happened this week?
But that's what the show has always been.
Yeah, but you were always trying to be normal. You were always trying to do this and no, fuck it. Eat a ring ding and let's fucking talk about how awful it is.
See, but I'm the wrong fucking guy for that because if I lean into that weirdness, nothing good's going to happen. It's not like I'm going to all of a sudden be some genius.
What good has happened?
I'm going to wind up in the clink. It's going to be fucking terrible. We're going to do some dumb thing and I'm going to hit the wrong guy. Oh, you want me to go back to punching people in the post office?
Hey, embrace punching people. I said embrace the chaos. Know that it's going to come and ride the wave.
There's plenty of chaos and rabbit punching some ass fuck at the goddamn post office.
There's no violence allowed. There's no violence in embrace the chaos.
There's no chaos without violence. You must have violence in order to foment chaos.
That is not true at all.
Good Lord, you got weird ideas of chaos.
Again, it's controlled chaos because I'm immunocompromised.
Your chaos is like stealing mail from people in the neighborhood and then just putting it in other people's boxes. Like,
ooh, see, that's fun.
Oh, Jesus. I'd egg somebody's house, but it's $6 a fucking dozen.
All right, so we're not embracing chaos. God.
Well, let's get a car before we fucking do anything. Jesus
do
Christ.
it. Get the Chaos Camry. Let's go.
But I've been out. All right. People, be honest with yourselves when you're selling things. That's all I'm asking. If you put up a product, because I don't want to buy. I didn't know what I was going to do. All right. Like when I talked about the car, and it looks like I'm going to have to do a car payment, but also I got so lucky with the last car I owned. That Camry was ridiculous. I drove it for fucking 7-8 years, minus 2 pandemic years where I really rarely drove it. And I only paid like $7,000 for it or whatever it was, or 8. And it only had 60,000 miles on it. It was a miracle. It was a miracle car. All because some guy's a shitty parent. I was able to go ahead and get that fucking Camry for that amount because he took it away from his daughter because she didn't do what she got a job instead of going to school or whatever. And he's like, fine, I'll take your car. And he did. And then he sold it to me. And so I drove around with the ghost of that sad girl shotgun for fucking 8 years, and it was fantastic. But so now I'm like, maybe I can gin up that kind of luck again. But you don't get that kind of luck twice in your life. You just don't. But with the money situation I have, I didn't want a car payment. You know what I mean? I want to just get a car and buy it for cash and see if I can somehow land the Hail Mary that I landed the last time. So I go online and look, again, this is the shit I don't want to do. where I'm looking online. I'm at fucking, AutoZone and the Penny Saver and like all these fucking sites where you're looking for cars. So I go to Craigslist and you're scrolling around and I see a car. It's a Prius. All right. And I'm like, you know what? Because I was trying to stay in the hybrid, trying to stay in the Toyota realm of things. So I look at it and the guy wants, it's $8,000. All right. For a 2014 Prius. It's got like 110,000 miles on it, which is a lot. And it's a lot for a Prius. But here's the issue. I've been looking at other car places too. Like I went to CarMax. All right. And I've been on CarMax. And that's just the Tinder for cars. It's just fucking, you're swiping right, you're swiping left. You're hoping somebody fits your Cinderella slipper. Am I going to fuck this car tonight or am I not going to fuck this car tonight? I have no idea. And it's just and then there's a car. It'll be like, hey man, here's a 2015 Toyota Camry, but it's in Pleasanton, Florida, and it'll cost you $2,000 to ship it here for a test drive. And I'm like, Jesus, that's a lot of fucking money just to say no, right? And so that's the call girl aspect of the Tinder for fucking cars, where you're just like, hey man, it's $2,000 for, if you want to get in me. You know what? Maybe I'll just put part of me in you. Is that okay? Can I just pay $100? And also all of the cars I'm finding, and because I did all this research and I'm reading, all cars are like $4,000 out of whack. Like cars that now that should be like 15,000 or 16,000 are 20 or 21 because they've worked it out where there's a shortage of used cars, because not unlike your phone, all right, your iPhone, they've made it the best it could possibly be. That's why every year the iPhone comes out, it's like, we're going to make it a 1/4 inch bigger and the camera's better, because they can't improve the phone bullshit. Yeah. They can't improve any of the 5G, 6G, 8G. So all you're doing is buying a new camera and a bigger size. So that's the thing with used cars. They've made cars so kind of bulletproof these days that people don't want to pay the prices for the new cars. So they all want to pay used cars. So they jacked all of those up like 4,000 and 5,000, especially since the pandemic, because they wound up, there were car fucking lots with no cars. They would be like, oh yeah, because they would either sell them, because that's another thing too is, and this is a real thing. I talked about Turo on here before. Turo is Airbnb for cars. And if you go on Turo, you'll find like a guy who owns 6 cars and he's just renting them out to people all over the place. And that's what they do. So now car dealerships are selling these cars, and I don't know if they're using a bulk price or whatever the fuck they're doing, but they're leaving people hanging where and then they jack up the price on the fucking rest of it. So I've been looking at cars that should be 15, 16,000.
Yeah.
And they're 19, 20, 21. And everything I've read is they're like, yeah, you just kind of got to eat it because that's just the way it is. Or you have to just continue fucking searching for whatever pearl you can find in any oyster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I pivoted and I went fucking looking for a car I could buy, because I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know if I can finance a $22,000 vehicle. Also, that's from fucking 2015. I mean, I might as well just look at a new car. But then you look at the cars I want, and they're $30,000.
Yeah, it's
$28,000, and it's just fucking bananas, man. So I don't know. So I figured I would go look at independent stuff. So this dude is selling a fucking Prius. It's a 2014. And, I contacted him via Craigslist. His name is Chewy. Lovely gentleman. And I asked him some questions because here's another thing. I'm not mobile. And I don't have any friends who can schlep me to City of Industry to go look at this Prius. City of Industry is like 30 miles from my house. But it's $8,000. It's 110,000 miles. And it looks great on Craigslist. The pictures looked fine. You know what I mean? So I get on the phone with him, and he's lovely. He's a nice guy. And I ask him some questions. I'm like, are you the only owner? He said, no, I bought it from a place. And I said, okay, well, is there anything I need to know about it? Because I go, look, I am without a car, so I have to rent a car to come to you. So please tell me if this is a waste of time, I need to know. He's like, of course not. I wouldn't list it. And I go, okay, so I didn't see the inside of the car. I just saw the outside from the 4 different angles. And I just want to make sure when I get there that it's not missing the passenger seat. You know what I mean? There's some fucking nonsense. And he was nice. We laughed, but I was genuinely concerned. I go, are all the knobs there? You know what I mean? I go, what's the deal with the battery? Did you replace the battery? He goes, no, but I haven't had a problem with it, but who knows with the Prius. So, but it was $8,000. I'm like, all right, I can, because maybe then I could just outright buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the GoFundMe. So I rent a Turo, and I go to City of Industry, and Chewy's lovely. I pull up, and he's like, I text him. He's out on the curb. He's waving at me. I pull up, and he wanted to do it. He didn't want me to see his house, which I don't blame him, because I mean, fuck, some nut bag from fucking everybody's Jack the Ripper on Craigslist as far as you're concerned. So I pulled up, and we met in the parking lot of a CVS. And I pulled up on the curb, and then he waved at me, and I came into the parking lot, and his car's there. It was funny. His car's like positioned under, it was daytime, but it was still under like a street light, like it was on display. It looked fancy. So I pulled up, and I got out, and I met him. He was, again, great guy. And I said, all right. So I go, is there a way I can drive it? And he goes, oh yeah, no problem. He goes, actually, if you want, you can just drive it in the parking lot. But if you want to go take it out, you can do that. And I have to admit, that made me go, wait, driving what am I learning? I'm not getting my permit here. I'm trying to buy this fucking thing. I go, but also at the same time, it made sense, because I don't want to drive on the street. Who the fuck knows? So we walk over, and I look at it, and it looks fine. There's no dings, no dents, no scratches. It just, and when they say 2014, I mean, I've seen Priuses from 2010 that look like they're new. I mean, I don't, if you take care of a car, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, all right, man. I go, well, then let's drive it. Let's fucking take a look. He goes, cool. And he opens the door, and look, I didn't know they had converted Yul Brynner's coffin into a car.
Ooh.
I didn't know that John Wayne's lungs had somehow been bought by the Toyota Corporation. Let me give you an example. He opens the door, and this smoke stench hits me in the face. Like Spicoli's van, but not weed, just cigarettes, just heavy fucking cigarettes. Like, I mean, it smelled like I was in, you know what I mean? I had walked into North Carolina and everybody exhaled at once. You know what I mean? It was just that kind of fucking tobacco. It was so bad that he had 2 trees hanging from the fucking mirror. And you couldn't, and those things are brutal. All right. Those will fuck you up.
I can't. Yeah.
They're pine trees, and I couldn't even smell them. All I smelled was the smoke. And also there was a huge divot of foam, like, taken out of one of the seats. And I hadn't seen the inside of the car, which I understood. You know what I mean? It just looked like someone had taken a fucking spoon and just scooped out a big piece of fucking foam. But the smoke hit me, and I went, oh man. And, he goes, what? And I go, you don't smell the smoke? Right? Exactly. And I go, you don't smell the smoke? And he goes, well, no, it doesn't bother me. And I go, well, I understand that, but dude, you opened the car. I'm not even in the car. And I go, I feel like I'm in a cigarette filter. Like I'm enveloped in it. Like I feel like I need a shower just from that. And he goes, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't smell it. And I go, Chewy, let me ask you something.
Have you had COVID?
No, I go, do you smoke? And he goes, well, yeah. And I go, okay, Chewy. Well, guess what? Did you smoke in this car? And he goes, well, yeah, but I have the air fresheners in there, and it's easily fit. And I go, Chewy, I got to stop you. It's absolutely not easily fixed, man. I go, the second you opened the door, I floated away on an Aladdin cloud. Like, I mean, it was just brutal. And I'm still trying to be funny, but he's mad now. Like, he's mad. And he goes, well, I wish you would have fucking mentioned this on the phone. You wouldn't have wasted my time. And I go, hey, who wasted whose fucking time? And he goes, what? And I go, I drove 30 miles to get here. I asked you on the phone over and over, was there anything else I should know? He goes, well, I just think you're being unreasonable. Like, if you need a car. And I go, that's, and I stopped because I was going to say to him, that's the point. You think I fucking need a car, so I'm going to buy whatever shit you give me. And I'm so tired of that fucking attitude. But I didn't say that. I said, yeah, I need a car. I don't need an ashtray. And he goes, well, there's no reason to be a dick about it. I go, I'm not, I apologize. You're right. And then I tried to make it nice. Because it wasn't the Camry Chaos year yet, so I couldn't just upset this guy.
Yes.
But I tried to smooth it over, but I was so furious. Like I wanted, and it just made me, I wanted to go, dude, what is wrong with you and your lungs? Like go see a doctor immediately if you don't see anything wrong with this. Cause and I have a sensitive nose maybe, or sensitive palate.
Do you think
I don't
you
fucking
could have
know.
Febrezed it?
No, there were 2 fucking pine trees on the on the mirror, and you didn't
but
smell
pine
them.
trees just make it smell like Christmassy smoke. Pine trees they're not an odor eliminator.
If I was trying to buy a car so I could leave town to escape the cops, maybe I make that purchase. But if I'm going to buy a car because also I got an Uber in this fucking thing.
Yeah.
So if I smell it, people are going to get it. No,
no,
it was death. It was a complete death. And I had just had this situation with, not even joking, with my dealer that tried to sell me a fucking Honda Accord, and almost like the same scoop of fucking foam out of the side of the fucking door, and it smelled like fucking stale and cigarettes. I don't know what people are doing. Maybe dogs are biting their seats. And that guy tried to sell me, his car he wanted $7,000 for a 2004 Accord. And I said, I'm Ubering. And he goes, oh yeah, you can't buy this then, because it's you got to have a certain amount of years or whatever. And so I thanked Chewy. He wasn't nice. He was standoffish, and I don't blame him, but I could have been more standoffish, but I was just like, dude, yeah, thanks, dude. And I fucking split. And I just laughed. I got in the car, and then I could smell it even on me. I didn't even get in the car, but it still smelled like fucking tobacco and shit. So I don't fucking know, man. And then I had another one. There was a guy in Van Nuys. I found this one on the Facebook market. It was a Camry, but it was a 2008 Camry. Okay. And it had 90,000 miles on it, which is not bad for a 2008. And, I was like, all right, well, I want to do this, but I don't know if I want to do this, but he's closer certainly than City of Industry, and I have the rental car anyway. So I was like, all right. So I called this guy. His name was Hank. And, I was like, all right. So I show up at his place, because again, I had looked at it this one was on Facebook Marketplace, which, believe me, I don't want to buy anything from Facebook Marketplace, but I was looking and I saw Camry and I was like, what the fuck? It's close to my house. So he wants $8,000 for his car, and, or no, 9, he wanted 9, I think. And so I went to go look at it, and I pulled up, and, again, it was nice. It was a 2008 Camry. My old Camry was 2007. It literally looked exactly the same. This one wasn't a hybrid though. It was just a normal Camry. And I'm looking at it, and I meet him. He's nice. And I went to his fucking house. He's got the car in the driveway. And then this was weird. He backs it out. I pull up and I go, hey, what's going on? And he goes, hey, you want to see it? And I go, yeah. And he goes, hold on. And then he backed it up the driveway 10 feet. I mean, I can look at it in the driveway. I don't know if he didn't want me on his property or what, but he backed it out and then just put it kind of in the street. So I guess I would see it in action. I don't know. It's so fucking weird. And by the way, I didn't third degree this guy at all. He was close to my house, so I was just like, I'll just go there. You know what I mean? I made an appointment with him to go check it out. So I went and looked, and it seemed fine. It's silver, which fuck that. I don't, me, I don't like a limp dick silver fucking car, but whatever. And he's like, yeah, and he opens and it's super clean. I will say this, I sat in it. It felt just like my old car. Even the cup holders were clean. Everything was spotless. It was really beautiful. I was like, all right. He opens the trunk. He's got the actual Camry like floor mats. I didn't even have those in my car. And so I was like, all right, well, this is kind of cool. And I was like, all right. So, and here's another thing too, is they're all asking like 9 and 8. I was hoping I could get away with, just saying 7 and be that kind of thing where I could drive away. So I says, okay. I go, well, is there anything I need to know about it? And he's like, no, man. He goes, I drive it. It runs great. I haven't had any problems with it. He goes, I had a recent oil change. I can get you that paperwork if you want. It's a salvage title, but that's nothing to worry about. And I go, whoa, hold on a second. I go, it's a what? He goes, it's a salvage title. He goes, but that's fine. I'll just sign it over to you when you pay. It's not a big deal. I go, and look, because I don't know a fucking thing. I go, what does that mean? He goes, oh, it's a salvage title. It means it's a running car, but previously it had some repairs done to it. And I go, all right, hold on. Hank, I got to slow you down. I'm going to Google salvage title if you don't mind, because I have no idea what that means. And he goes, well, yeah, if you want to, but I'm just telling you, I drive the car. It runs great. It isn't a problem. I just had an oil change. And so meanwhile, I'm scrolling and Googling. And you know what a salvage title is, Lily? Do you know what that is?
I do.
Yes. It means a car that's been totaled and they've decided that it isn't worth the money to repair it. But sometimes enterprising young gentleman like Hank will go ahead and scoop it off a lot somewhere and spit shine it, and he'll sell it off. And there's nothing wrong with that if you don't mind the fact that your car could fall apart like the fucking Bluesmobile in a fucking mile. Who fucking knows? And the way he tried to slide it by me, I knew, man. I knew it's a salvage title, but there's nothing to worry about that. You know, it's great. I just had an oil change. Like, an oil change fixes major structural damage to whatever this fucking car is. And I go, dude, salvage title. This seems like something you should put in your description. And he's like, well, but no, it's running. I'm showing you right now. He kept leaning on the oil change. I just had an oil change. It's running great. Everything's fine. I go, no, Hank, I understand that. But especially if you want fucking $9,000 for what I'm reading is a totaled car that you somehow rejiggered into a running fashion. I can't, dude. He goes, well, no, I understand that if you want to say that, but I go, it seems like you really should have put it. And he goes, I'm not dishonest. And I'm like, what do you, I didn't say you were dishonest. I'm not dishonest. The car was listed as is, and that's fine. And I go, all right, but I just think you should tell people that this thing used to be a paperweight before you fucking put it on the goddamn road again. And in my brain, I'm like, you're not dishonest. Your name is Hank. Your real name is Henry. You didn't even use any of those letters. The fuck are you talking about? You used the N. That's it. You brought an A and a K. You ditched the R and the Y. How honest are you, motherfucker? So then I got to calm down because I don't want to get mad. And I'm just like, look, I don't know what to tell you. I can't take something with a salvage title, especially not for $9,000. He goes, but you can see it. It's running. It's beautiful. And I go, yes. I just had an oil. Yes, you had an oil change. Oh my God. I said, look, I'll tell you what. I'll give you $3,000 for it. And he's like, $3,000, I want $9,000. And I go, yes, I understand that. I go, but 1/3 the price makes sense for what might be 1/3 the car. Because I don't know what happened to this car. And you are not telling me other than it's a salvage title and I shouldn't worry about it. He goes, well, I can't do 3. And I go, I understand. He goes, can you do 8.5? And I said, I have to be honest with you, 3,000 is all I would pay, because I have a real feeling that I'm going to be doing this exact same thing with somebody else in about 5 months. Yeah. And he was like, I'm telling you, that won't be the case, man. It's taken care of. I just had I'm like, yes, you had an oil change. I understand, man. I go, but I can't. I go, because this is my one shot. Yep. You know, if I was a guy who was a whiz bang dealer and was like, I might do this, do that. And this is all in my head, by the way. I didn't say this to him, but like, if I was a whiz bang guy who's like, I'll get this one and I'll parlay this and I'll trade it into this and I'll get that. Like, if I'm a fucking horse trader, yes. But for a guy who's trying to buy a car that I can now own for the next 5 fucking years until I have to get the next one, I can't pull the trigger on it. So I said, look, I just can't. I go, I can give you 3. I don't know if that's even fair for a salvage title, but it's what I'm willing to risk. He goes, I can't do it. I said, all right. I said, well, good luck. And at least he didn't get mad. He got quick talky. I'm telling you don't have to worry about it. No, that kind of thing, but he wasn't angry. Yeah. Because I wonder if he's had other people come out and look at it, and then when he dropped salvage title, they immediately walked away. The fact that I didn't walk away, I think, encouraged him. You know what I mean? Where he just kind of started to talk really. But here's the thing: it's got the floor mats, all that bullshit. And
where is this car at?
Van Nuys.
Okay, so let me ask you if you want to do some controlled chaos here.
Oh, good Lord!
Ask him if he's willing to take the car to my mechanic and have my mechanic do a look over.
Well, that was always going to be in the thing, but I wasn't going to pay any more than $3,000 period. I'm not doing it. I don't care if my mechanic looks, if you say salvage title, I'm already 3/4 of the way out.
Salvage title would have been if you kept your car when they totaled it and then you put a new engine in it.
Right. All right. I'll say it this way too. And this might make sense to you. This isn't my money I'm spending.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's the year of chaos.
I understand that, but I'm not going to come back to people and explain to them in 4 months. Hey, remember that car you guys were all generous and helped me out with?
Yes.
Yeah, that fucking bucket of bolts fell apart. I need a new one, so I got to go out. You know what I mean? It's not. Yeah. Then you know what you're doing. Then you're just creating adventures for yourself. You know what I mean?
I think it should be the year of creating adventures.
No, thanks. No, I created plenty of adventures and told everybody all about them. And
you could get a brand new car and it could break down. There's no.
but you know what? I'm not like when in 2015, I bought a 2007. So that's an 8-year difference.
Yeah.
To buy a 2008 and 2023, now you're looking at a 15-year difference.
Wow, you just made me feel old.
Well, dude, exactly. How old do you think I am? I'm out here again shopping for a fucking used car at 55. You know what I mean? And just going, Jesus Christ.
Do you want me to drop the mic?
Okay, go ahead.
You can drive.
You know what? I might start looking for a used Jazzy. Maybe I'll pick that up. You got a salvage title on this used Jazzy? I'll pick it up and take it with me. Yeah, so then I had to return the Turo because that was on Saturday. I had seen Hank's car, and then on Sunday I was seeing. Or I'm sorry, Saturday I saw Chewy's car, and then Sunday I saw Hank's car, and I got to return the Turo, and now I'm trapped in my house. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause without the rental car, I'm just trapped. And it's you know what I'm doing? I'm eating like a human being, which is not fun. Nobody wants that. I'm like making breakfast. Fuck that, man. Nobody wants to do that shit. I want pizza so bad. No, fuck that. I want
Embrace
pizza
the
so
chaos.
bad. I want pizza, right? But I don't want to pay for delivery pizza. But there's a Pizza Hut like a fucking like 2 blocks from me. But I can't bring myself to go and buy a pizza and walk home with a pizza because that's cartoon behavior. Nobody fucking does that in fucking real life. Believe me, if you ever see anybody walking down the street holding a full-size pizza box, they are seconds away from being tricked by a mouse. I couldn't commit to it. I was like, I can't do it. I fucking won't. So I'm cooking shit and fucking drinking ice water in my house, just fucking bananas. This gets you up to speed. You guys are all cool. Thank you so much for helping out as much as you have. I'm actively looking for vehicles. I'm going to pivot. I'm probably going to finance something. That's one of the reasons why the GoFundMe, the amount has gone up, which people are very kind and they're very nice. It's because I have to, I got to buy a car and I'm probably gonna have a car payment, which is fine. You know what I mean? I'll do what I can. But just to give you an update, thank you. You're incredible for doing that with the GoFundMe. I'm still trapped in my apartment. Like I said, I make eggs, I make noodles, I make fucking salads because I bought a whole bunch of groceries when I.
You should be filming this. It's content.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, I should have filmed this. My fucking neighbor, Lou, occasionally if I have like food, I'll buy too much food or whatever. I'll be like, hey man, do you like ribs? And I'll give him like a rack of ribs or half a rack of ribs or whatever. And we do it all the time. He'll cook something and go, hey man, do you like this? So the other day he's like, man, do you like shrimp scampi? I'm like, fuck yes. Who doesn't? And he's like, well, hold on. And he brings over a bowl of shrimp scampi.
Wow.
He's like, here you go. He goes, I cook too much. And I go, you're amazing. So then I have to, because I'm a weirdo, I can't just eat shrimp scampi. All right. I now have to peel it and take the tails off. So then I can eat it without an effort because I don't want my hands to be all fucking slimy with garlic and herbs. So I want to make all the shrimp naked and I put them in a regular bowl so I can eat them. And then I have a bowl that has all the tails and bullshit. Right. So that's like fine. And I go throw that away, whatever. But instead I sit in I bring a wet towel. I wash my hands. And then I sit and I was watching something and I'm eating the shrimp scampi. And then day turns into night.
Oh no.
As things often do. I'm sitting on my couch still, 9 hours later or whatever the fuck, and it's nighttime. So I'm watching something and then I turn the TV off and I'm working on my phone. I'm doing some stuff. I'm reading some stuff. I'm possibly doing a hurdle, possibly a wordle, possibly a quartle, any number of puzzles that keep me from involving myself in real life. So I'm doing them. And then I'm like, all right, man, you got to get off this couch. You got to do something. Plus I needed more water. So I'm like, all right, I got to do it. All right. So I had my phone and on my feet, I have a cocktail bench, right? It's kind of an ottoman cocktail bench.
Yeah.
And I had my feet up on it, but my apartment is pitch black except for my phone, right? So I'm scrolling and I go, all right, you got to do something. Go turn a light on or whatever. And I toss my phone onto the cocktail bench and instantly I'm attacked by just this amazing rain of shrapnel. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And so I reach over and I turn the light on and I had tossed my phone so joyously in the air and it had perfectly landed on the bowl of tails and shells. And I was fucking covered in shrimp scampi shells and tails on my couch. It stuck to my face and my arm. I'm like, what the fuck? Because in pitch black too, you're not expecting that. All of a sudden, it was like a group of garlicky wasps attacked my face. I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" But out of the perfect aim of just literally just tossing my phone in the air. By the way, phone costs $1,600, and I'm tossing it aside like a fucking idiot. I can't wait to have that GoFundMe start. And I throw my phone and it lands right on the bowl of shrimp scampi, and I get fucking accosted by garlicky fucking shrimp and shells, but in the dark, I don't know what the fuck it is. It could have been anything, for Christ's sake. And I turn the light on. Finally, I'm like, holy shit! I'm covered. Me, who didn't want to mess, now has garlic all over his ottoman, his face, his shirt, and his arms. And I'm just sitting there like, of course, of course. This is what happens. So this is who you're sending money to. Fucking ridiculous. All right. You guys can get me at mikeandmikeschmidtcomedy.com. You guys can be my friend at facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. You can be you can be following me at twitter.com/the40year-old-boy. I'm at Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. I've never done anything over there, but I'm there. That's Mike40YOB. You can check me out there. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? You should. Can you stick around for some plugs here real quick?
Sure.
All right. I don't know. Hey, our great friend Fearful Jesuit has the Paranoid Strain podcast. You can check that out. It's fucking fantastic. He's doing great things and unbelievable work, stuff I could never do. The detail, he's just doing great things. He and, of course, his lovely friend Dana Unicorn, who loves Skittles, by the way. She can taste my rainbow anytime. Check out the Paranoid Strain podcast and, of course, the Phlegmcat podcast with our friend David. Those are available wherever your finer podcasts are sold or dispersed. Go ahead and check them out. Sign up and you'll love them. Download them. You'll enjoy them. I know everybody loves them more than this podcast already. I told you. That's what everybody loves, is they love those podcasts and they hate mine. But the only reason anybody listens to this show is so I can plug the two that they like. They're just literally sitting there. They're enduring all of my scampy shrapnel and bullshit and just going, please talk about the other good podcasts. Would you do that for us? And here I'm doing it for you right now. Episode 1, year 14. I'm telling you right now, Paranoid Strain podcast, Phlegmcat podcast, the Twin Towers of podcasting. Go check them out, please. Also, I'm part of the Misfit Toys co-op, and those podcasts are, Doug Loves Movies and I Hate Fun, I think, or No Fun with Jen Kirkman. Boy, This Is Pointy with Danielle and Christine. That's another one on their channel. Of course, Never Not Funny, the Godfather, the gold standard. They are also part of it. Amazing shows, the Todd Glass Show. Go check them all out. And I'm part of that family. And you know what? Let's make this year. We'll do some commercials. What if we did that? We're going to
record them right when we're done.
My voice is burnt, so we're not going to do it today.
I will record them without you then.
Well, I happily put them in the bin. They will go right in the bin with all of the shrimp scampi shells. So go check out the Misfit Toys podcast. Check out the Paranoid Strain and Phlegmcat podcasts. Those are available and they're terrific. You should check them out. Like I said, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. That's me, Mike40YLB. Hey, I'm on Cameo. Did you guys know this? You can book me for a Cameo. Uh-oh. What does that mean? You got something for me?
One of us is going to be on Cameo soon.
Well, hold on. What does that mean? You're on Cameo, right?
Well, I am on Cameo, and I am on Cameo for a very large amount of money because I don't do stuff for free. I don't do work for free.
Okay,
and
that makes sense.
I got an email from Cameo telling me that they're going to remove me from Cameo because I charge too much.
What?
Yeah. Hold on.
Well, that doesn't make any sense because it should be like an independent network, right?
Yeah. Dear Lily, did you know your Cameo price is $750?
Hold on. Let me stop you right there.
Wait, no. We noticed you've not been booked since moving to this price, so your account will no longer remain browsable. Would you like your Cameo profile to remain active? If so, we will lower your price to $50. They're putting me in the bargain bin at Cameo because I haven't sold one.
That doesn't make any sense, though. The whole point
does not make any sense.
It's a voluntary deal. Like I thought you could list whatever you wanted to be.
You can, but apparently they've decided that I think too much of myself, I guess. I don't know. I wrote them back and I'm like, dudes, I thought this was a free market and I'm allowed to set my own value. And nowhere in the thing does it say that, you have to book to maintain. So unless those are the terms of service, I will not be lowering my price.
Jesus.
Fuckers. So somebody go buy a Cameo at $750 for me so I can keep my Cameo account.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or, I'm just throwing this out there.
Houdini.
For the price of one Lily, you could get me 37 and a half times. So if you wanted to book me 37 and a half times for your Cameo, 37, because I could do it. I could fill 37 and a half cameos for you. Seven. I have to be honest with you. I'm disappointed in that because I thought Cameo was one of these, everybody does everything and you make your own price. And I had no idea that the invisible hand of the market had crept into the Cameo world.
I don't understand why my price value should somehow diminish me because I'm making that in public appearances. So why shouldn't I make it there if someone wants to book me?
Well, I will say this too. It could have been worse. I mean, they could have said, we'll make it for $10. I mean, they could have said, you know what? You're worth $20, just like that fucking idiot you talk to every goddamn week. You know what I mean? And then it would have been like, oh, whatever. All right. Well, Lily drama aside.
So fuck Cameo.
Or book Cameo.
Book me at Cameo for $750 as Boobdini, and I will have Mike on the Cameo with me.
All right.
37 times.
Will you be topless?
You can't be topless on there.
What the hell? I'm topless in all of mine.
Are you really?
I'm waiting. Well, I can't wait to hear from them. You talk about, maybe, you know what? Maybe if you let the invisible hand of the market give you a little fucking nipple pinch every once in a while, you'd be fine. All right. So there you go. Cameo exists. You can book Lily for $750 or you can book me 37 and a half times for the same amount. It's up to you. 6 of one, 37 and a half times of the other. Your choice. But I'm out there. I'm on Cameo. I'm ready. It's graduation season. Let me congratulate your child and warn them about everything that's to come.
I would love to hear your commencement speech.
You've finally graduated high school. A storm is coming.
Embrace the chaos.
Yeah, Lily and I fat me and a Jazzy running away. Fat me and her and a Jazzy. All right, so Cameo exists. Go ahead and book me for that. If you just want to send money, the GoFundMe exists. I'm not going to plug the fucking PayPal link. That's ridiculous. Hey guys, you want to send me more money on top of money? What a fucking asshole. But it's out. The GoFundMe is out there if you'd like to continue funding. Not continue. If you haven't and you'd consider it, that would be great. Anybody who's given, you're incredible. Thank you. And thank you for the people who've reached out to me personally and tried to, Ellen, my great friend Ellen, went above and beyond and did not have to. My friend Suze, my friend Justin, Casey, Murph, all of these people have reached out. In addition to all of you, Mike Yoder did an incredible thing on the GoFundMe. And please, I'm not forgetting anyone. I will get to everyone. It's just, while it's in progress, I'm just speaking extemporaneously about things that I noticed, and you're all incredible. And thank you so much for stepping up. Heather, everyone, you're all cool and the best. And I don't know if GoFundMe allows me to thank everybody individually. It might be a blanket thing. I don't know, but regardless, you guys are all super cool and nice. And thank you so much. And it continues if you'd like to visit it and do that sort of thing. And like I said, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. You can be my friend at facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/the40year-old-boy for as long as that platform exists. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen over there? I have a YouTube channel. You can go subscribe to that. That'd be great. I will tell you this. I'm on Twitch. I haven't been on Twitch in 2 months. It's been a while, and I'm gearing up to get back on there because, again, well, the thing is, the whole point was I took a break because I was going to learn stuff and fix stuff and get cords, and then the car thing happened like 2 weeks later, and I can't buy any equipment and get it. Whatever. Nobody cares, but you're all very kind.
Everybody cares.
Everybody cares. Nobody cares about my yammering, but everybody cares about me, and that's very nice. But the Twitch will be back up and running as soon as possible. I like I said, it's embarrassing to be in a tiny window. I'd like to get the camera at least working where it's a bigger thing. Yeah. So you're all very kind, and thank you. Please subscribe on Twitch if you can. Subscribe on or follow anyway. Right? Follow on YouTube. Follow on Twitch. Doesn't cost you anything. Just so there's a built-in audience that they can see exists, and they don't fucking go, hey, this guy needs to get fucking deplatformed. I don't want to be deplatformed. That would suck.
Yes, it will suck to be deplatformed.
You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
No.
All right. So there you go. So Twitch and YouTube and other podcasts and this podcast. Hey, man, 13 years in the bank. You're 14 ahead of us, like open road. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen? I'll be back on that open road soon enough. I'll be back in the car Ubering, looking for a gig. And again, I will say this. We proclaimed on January 1st that this was going to be a year of grinding. We're going to do our best to make as much money as we can and get back into stand-up and get on, hopefully on the cruise ships next year, making some money there and making stand-up work and, at least appearances around LA and getting on good shows and doing whatever I can. And these are still things that I'm absolutely committed to. Once this fucking interlude stops, it's funny. We normally end a year and then have an interlude. Well, unfortunately, we wound up with a built-in interlude where I got fucking nothing going on in my life and sitting here in an apartment. Less musical this year, the interlude, but at least we'll struggle through it and fight through. And I'll be in Chicago in November at Zany's. Still that week exists, and trying to do whatever I can to get out there and possibly four walls some shows. But none of that matters right now. It's all plans. Talk is cheap. We know this, but just know that I have my heart and my soul and my brain invested in doing all good things for the coming year and making my life be what it's supposed to be, or at least get back to doing the thing I'm best at every week, live and here, live to tape, as our friend Lily would say. Thank you for coming here, Lily.
Thank you.
Jesus. And hopefully next week, maybe if you're around, if you're feeling better.
Embracing the chaos, man. I will be here.
All right. Love you. And love all you guys, everybody who stepped up, everybody who thought about stepping up, anybody who listens, as I've said before, anybody who's ever listened to anything I've said or laughed at anything I say. You've made it possible for me to be better at the thing I'm best at. And I appreciate it very much. And I'm happy and lucky to have you in my lives. And you're 14, man. Let's fucking get it. Right? See ya.
If there's anything I like more than me, it's people who like me. I love me, but if you love me, I love you. 'Cause you know why, we both love me. How great am I? Let's talk about that for a while, and by a while, I mean forever.
Hi there, I'm Jimmy Pardo, host of the award-winning podcast Never Not Funny. It's a show that's been described as hanging out with friends you never knew you needed. Well, each week I get together with my co-host Matt Belknap and great people from the worlds of comedy, Broadway, music, TV, movies. You get the point. Hey, Matt, give me some examples of who we've had on.
Oh my God, Jimmy, we've had comedy legends like Conan O'Brien, Amy Poehler, and Sarah Silverman, Hollywood royalty like Rob Reiner and John Hamm, and members of classic rock bands like Styx and Kiss.
Hey, Never Not Funny's been around since 2006, so we must be doing something right. So why not join our nonsense each week? Never Not Funny,
the fastest hour in podcasting.